Chapter 2175. Feng Bufan wasn't afraid of anything, but when he saw Green Lotus Sword Immortal, he was a little afraid. This was because before Yi Qinghan, she had relied on her own strength to kill a saint. The Green Lotus Sword Fairy was cold and her aura made even Yi Qinghan feel oppressed. Let's escape to the northeast of the Tongtian sect and approach the sea. Green Lotus Sword Immortal said coldly, the four great sages won't be able to make it in time. They won't be able to save Heavenly Buddha. Even if the four great sages join forces, they will still be defeated sooner or later. Retreating is inevitable. Although the great world is huge, the evil souls will be able to find any place that the great sages can go. Boom. Ah. Just as the crazy sect was about to escape, the sky above the blessed Buddha temple exploded into a colorful cloud. The sages' blood covered the darkness as they fought for the upper hand. However, they were quickly eroded by the darkness. The blessed Buddha Lord died in less than half a month. Not even the golden body of a great sage was left. At this moment, the evil spirit was even more powerful. His aura swallowed the mountains and rivers as he collected all the faith. His eyes were filled with different emotions as he looked down at the four great sages. He licked his red lips and said coldly, "Great sages, you can't stop me. Xia Zhaoyang, you created me. How should I thank you?" Saint Xia Zhaoyang's eyes were filled with anger. He roared, "You didn't even let my son's body go. Today I will bury you." Whoosh! Xia Zhaoyang put his palms together. The constellation spell and the 9 changes of the stars were at their peak. The stars in the sky tore the darkness apart and the grand world was once again covered in light. Constellation spell 35. Billions of stars to support me, destroy everything. Boom! Whoosh! Mountains and rivers shook, and the stars twisted. Xia Zhaoyang's palm contained the power of trillions of stars, blotting out the sky as it slammed down from above the blessed Buddha temple, enveloping the entire area. This kind of power was beyond the mortal realm, definitely more terrifying than any great saint. Tai Chi Ultimate Mystery. A huge 8 trigrams mark appeared behind the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. He formed a seal with both hands and the mark became more and more solid. Even though the 4 great sages used their best powers, they were all holding back and preparing to escape. The Emperor Sage had a lot of trump cards, but he didn't want to use them. He scanned the battlefield and looked for an opportunity to escape. These great sages hadn't even started the real battle yet, and they were already looking for a way out. How could they win? Green Lotus Sword Immortal had long determined that this group of great sages could not win, because they did not want to fight at all. If they fought this battle, they would die if they lost. So what if they were great sages? Let's go! Green Lotus Sword Immortal was the first to take an immortal step. Stellar transposition and shifting mountains and rivers, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yi Qinghan and the others quickly followed, not daring to relax. More than 10 days later, a silhouette flashed out of the coiling Dragon Island. The silhouette flashed and moved at an extremely fast speed. Wherever it passed, a fragrant smell would assail the nostrils. It was Bailey Chenxiang, who had disappeared for many years. She was also the little fairy that Yi Qinghan had been looking forward to meeting for a long time. Bailey Chenxiang, Yi Qinghan, and the others formed a straight line. Their speed was very fast, and in less than 3 days, they met by the sea of the outside world. Yi Qinghan's divine sense covered Bailey Chenxiang. He couldn't wait to rush over and hug this little fairy. However, Bailey Chenxiang was also looking for Yi Qinghan, because the news of the Bailey Great Sage's appearance had reached her ears. "It's really hard to find you." Yi Qinghan condensed the word, immortal. "How many years has it been since we last met? How did you become like this? You didn't even complete the task that I gave you." Bailey Chenxiang looked at the people of the Kuang sect indifferently. She did not pay attention to Green Lotus Sword Immortal and directly said to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan quickly condensed the word, immortal, and interrupted Bailey Chenxiang. "Wasn't I the one who found the body of the Bailey Great Sage? Otherwise, how could this evil soul be born?" Yi Qinghan condensed a doppelganger, waved his hand, and continued to ask, "Where is the immortal peach tree? I want to see it." "I won't see it." Giving you the immortal peach tree back then was already giving you face. Now that my father's body is occupied by the evil soul, and we don't know where his soul is, your task is considered a failure. Bailey Chenxiang refused without hesitation. At this moment, Green Lotus Sword Immortal walked out from the crowd. His aura immediately attracted Bailey Chenxiang's attention. Little girl, don't be so stubborn. Take me to see the immortal peach tree. Green Lotus Sword Immortal said in a deep voice. How could Bailey Chenxiang not recognize Green Lotus Sword Immortal? This temperament was unique. So it's Senior Sword Immortal. This junior can take you to see it, but this group of humans. Bailey Chenxiang was a little embarrassed. She was unwilling to take this group of people to see the immortal peach tree. This group of people can be trusted. Even if someone dares to go against my will, I can still kill him. Green Lotus Sword Immortal ordered coldly. Quickly take me to see it, or no one will be able to escape. Green Lotus Sword Immortal was famous. Even if Bailey Chenxiang could mobilize thousands of flowers in the world and could live among thousands of flowers, she was still afraid of Green Lotus Sword Immortal. As per the High Sage's order, follow me. Bailey Chenxiang turned around and headed towards Coiling Dragon Island. The group of sages flew through the sky and ground, shifting space and time. They were like streaks of lightning, tearing through the void with no delay. One day later, the group of sages appeared on Coiling Dragon Island. Half a day later, they arrived at the Coiling Dragon's secret realm. The group of sages was extremely fast, so fast that it was exaggerated. 1 month later, they crossed the Coiling Dragon's secret realm again, rushing from the small path to the small domain. The small domain stretched on and on. Countless small domains were connected. It was unknown how deep it was. After continuously shifting, it took about half a year to finally land in the sky of a small domain filled with stars. Even in this small domain, the group of sages did not find the immortal peach tree. The immortal peach tree's concealment was extraordinary. If it did not show itself, no one could find it. In a corner of this small domain, immortal peaches took root in the ground. They were intertwined and stretched for miles, reaching into the clouds. Huge immortal peaches swayed in the wind. The immortal peach tree had already noticed Green Lotus Sword Immortal and Bailey Chenxiang. Its body swayed and suddenly turned into an old man with white hair and a youthful complexion. His hair was white, and he looked like an immortal. The immortal peach tree's fortune was exceedingly high, and its cultivation was exceedingly high. However, it was only good at escaping and gathering immortal peaches. Its combat ability was not good. It was the most crucial step to becoming an immortal. Perhaps it could be called the ferryman of immortals, but it could not become an immortal. Whoosh da whoosh. Yi Qinghan, Green Lotus Sword Immortal, and the rest were brought to the immortal peach tree by Bailey Chenxiang. The immortal peach tree trusted Green Lotus Sword Immortal, so it did not prepare to leave. Instead, it had a smile on its face. When it saw Yi Qinghan, its smile was even more mysterious. Yi Qinghan looked at the immortal peach tree impatiently. He wanted nothing more than to pounce on the old man and beg. Before Green Lotus Sword Immortal could speak, the old man transformed from the immortal peach tree, smiled at Yi Qinghan and said, "Little guy, I can save you and erase your deathless aura. However, you have to agree to one condition." Yi Qinghan was overjoyed. He hurriedly formed the word, immortal, and asked, "Immortal, please speak your mind. As long as I can do it, I will not hesitate." Recently, Yi Qinghan had been tortured to the point of insanity. He could not speak and sat on the war chariot like a corpse. His personality was about to be obliterated. "Alright, then I will get straight to the point. Help me erase the evil soul, find Bailey Longxian's soul, and revive Bailey Longxian." The old man formed from the immortal peach tree smiled and said. Yi Qinghan almost went berserk. This bastard wanted to send him to his death. Even great sages working together could not kill the evil soul. He would be sending himself to death. However, in order to revive and regain his golden body, he gritted his teeth and decided to agree to the immortal peach tree's request. Chapter 2176. I agree. Yi Qinghan did not hesitate. In order to survive, he could agree to any condition. However, it was up to him whether he would act or not. The immortal Peach Elder smiled and looked at Yi Qinghan. Don't agree verbally. I know what you're thinking. Let me save you first, then run away. Am I right? Yi Qinghan was speechless. Indeed, the older the wiser. He could not hide his thoughts from this old man. Everyone in the insane sect knew Yi Qinghan well. Since he agreed so readily, it meant that he had no intention of dealing with the evil soul. Seeing him exposed by the immortal peach tree, they covered their faces and smiled. You're a person of great providence. If you don't do it, no one can solve this problem. The immortal peach tree said bluntly. Yi Qinghan almost rolled his eyes. The evil soul was so powerful that even a supreme sage was suppressed. He did not even know where to run to. How could he ask for help? A person of great providence? He was not stupid. He was not a hero who saved the world. He was a hero who was going to die. Yi Qinghan wanted to say, what a person of great providence. I know that you've been blessed by the heavens and obtained an immortal scripture. Only you and the divine Punisher can save the world from this calamity. Once you reach the supreme sage realm, you can join forces with the divine Punisher to destroy the evil soul. The immortal peach tree said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan wanted to scratch his head. This immortal peach tree wanted to kill him. Can you treat my injuries first? Yi Qinghan asked as he condensed the words. The immortal peach tree refused without hesitation. You know the way of the heavens. Swear in the name of the heavens. After you swear, I will save you. It will only cost me a drop of essence. Indeed, Yi Qinghan knew the power of the heavens. Once he swore, he could only give it his all. However, Yi Qinghan had no other choice. If he wanted to revive the holy golden body, he could only rely on the immortal peach tree. I swear in the name of the heavens that I will do my best to suppress the evil soul. If you violate the oath, you will be struck by lightning and your soul will be destroyed. In the end, Yi Qinghan was forced to swear an oath in order to gain control of the soul-seizing golden body. Seeing Yi Qinghan make the vow, the immortal peach tree smiled mysteriously. It waved its hand and a drop of dark green liquid appeared. This was the essence of the immortal peach tree. Bang! The old man waved his hand and pressed the essence into Yi Qinghan's forehead. Immortal light shot out in all directions and poured into Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. Yi Qinghan felt as if he was bathing in a warm sun. He was so comfortable that he didn't know what to say. Slowly, he felt the deathly aura on his soul gradually dissipate. His soul was no longer weak, and the deathly aura on his body was also slowly removed. Soon, Yi Qinghan's body emitted a milky white holy light. His aura was slowly trembling, and his fingertips moved slightly. This long-awaited feeling had finally returned. Slowly, Yi Qinghan's golden body was recovering. His eyebrows trembled, and his black hair danced. His aura was recovering. He was finally alive. Yi Qinghan felt like tens of thousands of years had passed, as if each day was a year. Phew! Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. At this moment, he felt that his physical body was no longer his. His entire body was numb, and his bones were cracking. However, he did not feel that he had become stronger. Instead, he had become much weaker. His physical body could not keep up with the cultivation of his soul. His soul could cover millions of miles, but his physical body could not move that far. His physical body was at the peak of the upper level, and his soul was at the peak of the sage realm. The gap was too big. It was so big that Yi Qinghan could not get used to it. Yi Qinghan frowned and moved his body. His entire body was cracking. The sages of the insane sect were overjoyed. Yi Qinghan had finally recovered his physical body. This was great news. Damn. Big. Master. The first sentence was not spoken by Yi Qinghan, but by the divine bird. During this period of time, it had been suffocating. Yi Qinghan's bloodline had been sealed, so it could not appear at all. I was suffocating. I thought I was going to die in there. The divine bird's face was filled with joy. Its thieving eyes flashed as it looked at everyone. Its originally excited expression turned to anger as it roared, "This is not fair. All of you have become sages. Why am I still still in the lower plane. Yi Qinghan and the rest of the Kuang sect were speechless. At this moment, the little divine bird inside Yi Qinghan's body ran out and said mockingly, "Dad, following the right master is the most important thing." The little divine bird was also in the sage realm. Although it was a crippled sage, it was useless. It could not beat a sage in a fight, nor could it outrun a sage. At most, it could stand shoulder to shoulder with a sage who had completed the upper plane. The divine bird was in despair. It looked at Yi Qinghan with a sad face like a resentful wife. Its big, pitiful eyes were pitiful. The originally serious and cold green lotus sword immortal's mouth twitched. Looking at the divine bird's expression, he felt like laughing. Yi Qinghan hurriedly comforted the divine bird. After all, he had raised this divine bird since it was a child. It was very affectionate. "Reaching the eternal saint realm is a piece of cake for me. I'll help you reach the eternal saint realm someday," Yi Qinghan promised. The immortal peach tree looked at Yi Qinghan and said with a smile, "Yi Qinghan, you should raise your physical body to the sage realm now. I can provide you with immortal peaches to break through to the sage realm. I hope you can go to the great world to look for the heavenly Punisher as promised. His judgment can destroy evil souls, but you need to suppress them. Going to die at the sage realm?" Yi Qinghan questioned, speechless. The immortal peach tree was speechless. It said, "Can't you be a little more optimistic? There are still 4 great sages in the great world. They are not dead. You will be able to suppress the evil souls first. However, you cannot destroy Bailey Longxian's physical body." Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. To kill the evil souls without destroying Bailey Longxian's physical body was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. "Can you make it harder for me?" Yi Qinghan mocked. The immortal peach tree raised its white eyebrows and said firmly, "In short, you must do as I say. Otherwise, you will regret it. The order of the world has been formed. The heavenly secrets cannot be revealed. I cannot give you too much advice." Yi Qinghan touched his forehead and looked at Green Lotus Sword Deity. However, Green Lotus Sword Deity nodded secretly, indicating that he should agree first. Yi Qinghan was helpless. In the end, he could only agree. After obtaining a few immortal peaches, he went into the depths alone and sat down to cultivate. He had enough resources. Becoming a saint was only a matter of time. The biggest problem was comprehending the sacred finger of annihilation and the star-plucking hand. Only by cultivating these 2 immortal techniques to the peak, even if he could not break through the limit, it would be good for him to reach the peak of the saint realm. The others were scattered around. Only Green Lotus Sword Deity and the old man formed by the immortal peach tree sat opposite each other. They discussed the current situation and how to survive in this chaotic world. The immortal peach tree's face was gloomy. It frowned and reminded with a bitter smile, "Green Lotus, in this chaotic world, there is no light at all. It might really be the end of the world. Even we cannot escape. The calamity does not only come from the evil souls, but also from Xia Zhayang. Now, the key factors are the adjudicators and Yi Qinghan. If the 2 of them die, we will have no chance at all." Green Lotus Sword Deity clenched her fist and stabbed her immortal sword into the ground. She said indifferently, "In your opinion, can I still find half of the original source?" Chapter 2177. The Immortal Peach Elder didn't answer Green Lotus Sword Immortal's question because he didn't know how to answer it either. The corner of the small region fell into silence. Yi Qinghan had a few celestial peaches beside him. Celestial chi swirled around them. The holy golden body was absorbing the celestial chi to refine itself. Its body emitted a thick white holy light, and its aura grew stronger and stronger. The tiny person in the sea of consciousness shattered the firmament with a single finger, shattering the starry river. Its aura was like a rainbow. Yi Qinghan's soul was strong enough to break down and do different things while refining his golden body and cultivating the sacred finger at the same time. With the support of the peach of immortality and the pervading immortal energy, Yi Qinghan's physical body advanced at a tremendous pace. The order of his body was reorganized, and with the support of his powerful soul, his rate of improvement far exceeded the limits of human comprehension. The greater world was in chaos. Not only had the four great saints failed to repel the evil souls, but they'd also razed the blessed Buddha temple and the eternal sacred land to the ground. Countless lives had been lost. Resentment and malice intertwined and soared into the sky. The evil souls had become even more terrifying. The 100 Miles great sage's saint body was indeed strong. Even if he was hit by the four great sages, it was not a big deal. They could not hurt his evil soul at all. The various holy lands and powerful sects began to madly flee towards the edge of the world. The longer the four great sages lasted, the further they fled. Unfortunately, their speed was too slow. Even if they fled for 100 years, it would not be enough for the great sages to catch up to them in a few days. Some of the ordinary creatures knew that they couldn't escape, so they simply gave up on living on the surface and continued to dig down into the underground palace. They dug deeper and deeper, until they were thousands or even tens of thousands of meters deep. There was no sunlight, so they could only rely on the illumination of golden and night pearls. It was precisely because of this that another race was born, the Earth Traveler race. The secret technique they cultivated also changed, and they specialized in the element of earth. Martial Dao True Monarch Holy Land. Martial Dao True Monarch looked towards the south with a solemn expression. They were already in the extreme north and had nowhere to retreat. If they headed further north, it would be a world of ice and snow. A world sealed in ice was impossible to survive. The millions and millions of creatures in the Holy Land could only pray. The power of faith was rich and transmitted into Wu Zhenjuan's sea of consciousness. Strands of power of faith exploded in Wu Zhenjuan's sea of consciousness, causing him unbearable pain. These were his people, this was his territory. If he were to give up and run away alone, he would only be able to live in pain for the rest of his life. Wu Zong, the direct disciple of the Holy Land. He was not far from the Saint Realm, but he did not have any immortal pills, so reaching the Saint Realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. At this moment, he came to Wu Zhenjuan's side and pleaded with a serious face, "Old ancestor, let's retreat. If we don't retreat now, it'll be too late. The war race's territory will soon be devoured and occupied by darkness. The next step will be our Holy Land." Wu Zhenjuan smiled bitterly. It wasn't that he didn't want to retreat, but where would he retreat to? What would happen to his people? If you can't let it go, we can take away some of the elites. After all, you're not a great sage. Why should you bear all the pressure on yourself? Wu Zong advised bitterly. Phew! Wu Zhenjuan let out a breath of turbid air as he waved his hand and said, "Gather the elites, women and children. As for the rest, give up." Wu Zong heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that Wu Zhenjuan wanted to give up some people. At this moment, he was really afraid that Wu Zhenjuan would rather die with these people. At this moment, the two great sages of the Xiahou sacred land couldn't take away everyone. They could only choose to take away about half of the people. The rest could only rely on themselves. The world was unfair. Xiahou He and Xiahou Supreme worked together to take away countless living beings and put them into their own minor worlds. Then, they took a detour through the war race's territory and entered Wu Zhenjuan's Holy Land. After crossing the Holy Land, they charged towards the east. Their target was the ocean. At this time, the four great sages were exhausted. They had been fighting for nearly 100 years, but the evil souls were getting stronger and stronger. Darkness shrouded the world, and the order of the world was collapsing. Hell, blessed Buddha Temple, and eternal Sword Dao sacred land had already been destroyed. No matter how strong Xia Zhayang was, he could only remain undefeated. Moreover, he was unwilling to use his full strength, which allowed the evil souls to occupy more and more territories. The evil souls' eyes were bloodshot. Palm after palm, they didn't know exhaustion. Greedy desires and terrifying baleful auras spread in all directions. Abyss after abyss appeared on the ground, spreading in all directions. The ground was dyed red with blood. For tens of thousands of miles, it was a world of darkness. Submit, all of you. Be my slaves and I'll teach you how to be human. Ha! The evil souls laughed madly, staring at Forefather Spectre. His cultivation was the weakest, but his aura was the closest to his own. Once he devoured him, his cultivation would improve again. Forefather Spectre didn't want to fight anymore. It hadn't been easy for him to reach the great sage realm. How could he die like this? Whoosh, boom. He fled into the void, punching through the river and disappearing into an alternate dimension in the blink of an eye. With one great sage gone, the others weren't stupid. Emperor Exalted Sage didn't hesitate. He quickly fled to the east, followed by Skypiercer Great Sage. Xia Zhaoyang was furious, but he wouldn't give up his life for the world if all three great sages were gone. He wanted to flee, but the evil soul's hatred for Xia Zhaoyang had reached its peak. Kikik, Xia Zhaoyang, don't even think about running. I'll make you my dog for the rest of your life. A real dog. The evil soul's shrill roar tore through the river. 5 sinister fingers turned into lightning, grabbing at Xia Zhaoyang's back. Sacred Lord Xia Zhaoyang's hair stood on end. He dodged and shifted, activating the 9 transformations to its peak, but he couldn't shake off the evil souls. Sacred Slaying Finger. Boom. Xia Zhaoyang had actually figured out the Sacred Slaying Finger, but the details were different from Yi Qinghan's. The power was weaker, but when he unleashed it, the destructive power was much more terrifying than Yi Qinghan's. The finger seal split the heavens and the earth, its power piercing through the earth. A chasm stretched out, destroying endless mountains and rivers. Boom. The finger seal destroyed everything in its path and reached the evil souls in the blink of an eye. The evil soul's eyes widened in shock. He clenched his claws into fists and punched the finger seal. The 2 attacks collided, and a murderous aura spread out, destroying the Xiaohou sacred land. Countless living beings died in an instant. The Xiaohou ancestral land's city crumbled, and the earth quaked. The 2 of them flew backward, their footsteps shattering the world. The sacred lord took advantage of the momentum to escape, a drop of blood hanging from the corner of his mouth. He had forcefully activated the Sacred Slaying Finger, causing him quite a bit of damage. Damn it, I must find Yi Qinghan and obtain the true cultivation method of the Sacred Slaying Finger. The Sacred Lord's eyes were filled with greed and desire. He didn't hesitate anymore and rushed to the east, searching for Yi Qinghan. The 4 great saints had bitterly held on for more than 100 years, buying time for many others to escape. At least the saints had time to escape. Once the great saints escaped, the great world lost all hope. The evil souls looked at their fists. The bones in their fists had been shattered. They were shocked and said in disbelief, "What kind of demonic art is this? It can actually shatter a great saint's body." Chapter 2178. The evil soul couldn't feel any pain, but he was furious because he thought Bailey Longxian's saint body was his. Seeing the sacred bone fist break, the evil soul roared. Dark baleful aura and negative emotions rushed into half of the Holy Land, flattening the mountains and rocks. Finally, he began to rush toward the east. His speed was not exaggerated, but it was no different from that of a great sage. This was because his physical body was that of the 100 Miles Dragon Fairy, but his evil soul was stronger. Sacred Lord Xia Zhaoyang escaped to the sacred ground and found that most of the living beings were taken away by the 9 lords. Puff, Xia Zhaoyang spat out a mouthful of essence blood. He felt as if his blood and qi were flowing in reverse, flowing through his limbs. His entire body was in pain, as if he had been cut by a knife. He had forcefully used the saint-destroying finger, which had caused quite a lot of damage to himself. Furthermore, it had damaged his core. The saint-killing finger is indeed an immortal technique, and it's very powerful. I can injure a supreme saint even without finding the correct cultivation method. If I find the correct cultivation method, killing a supreme saint will no longer be a dream. Xia Zhaoyang's eyes flashed with greed. Killing a supreme saint had always been a taboo topic, but since Yi Qinghan appeared, it was no longer a taboo topic. People even saw the hope of killing a supreme saint. Yi Qinghan, I will definitely find you. Xia Zhaoyang licked the corner of his lips and said coldly, even if I can't use the real saint-exterminating finger now, it won't be difficult for me to defeat Tong Tian and GD. Once the 2 of them are defeated, they won't be able to continue protecting you. Whoosh da whoosh. Xia Zheoyang swept across the sky and took away the remaining living beings. His world was much bigger than the 10 great secret realms and could contain many living beings. Whoosh dot whoosh whoosh whoosh. Xia Zheoyang passed through the major cities of the sacred ground and took away the remaining people. Then, he sensed the evil soul rushing towards the east and immediately rushed towards the eastern sea. In the far west, a figure flashed by with the judge in his hand. His aura was restrained, but he emitted a holy aura. It was the divine Punisher who carried out justice on behalf of the heavens. Perhaps the heavens were about to destroy him, but the heavens blessed him again and he was about to become a supreme saint. The judge emitted an immortal radiance like a crescent moon. The judge rapidly flew past the holy city of the Oshi sacred ground and took away the spring of life. However, he didn't take the source of the spring of life. He didn't want to cut off this treasure in the future. Several months later, the adjudicator brought the spring of life to the land of far west. This desolate ancient forest was filled with spiritual energy, but there were very few people. There were many desolate beasts. The adjudicator found a suitable place to cultivate. He sat down cross-legged on the ground and took out the spring of life. He inserted the judgment sword into a rock and crossed his hands, forming an immortal technique. The adjudicator immortal technique opened his mouth, and the spring of life in the jade bottle rushed into his mouth. A majestic aura of life, along with terrifying immortal spiritual energy, spread to his limbs and bones, bathing him in immortal light. Waves of immortal light rippled out, and the spiritual herbs in the surroundings grew rapidly, as if they had eaten immortal medicine. The profound immortal technique revolved around the adjudicator, and the mark of judgment appeared on his forehead. His aura was monstrous, and the heavens blessed him. An even richer immortal light flowed into his body, providing energy for his advancement. His body was filled with immortal spiritual energy, and it was already comparable to Yi Qinghan after he ate a drop of the immortal peach tree source. The heart of judgment, the law of the heavens, the destruction of mountains and rivers, only I will enforce the law. Adjudicate the world, all evil will be destroyed. The adjudicator kept chanting, and the holy energy in his body actually transformed into immortal spiritual energy. The quality of his energy clearly surpassed that of a great sage. If they had the same amount of energy, a great sage would definitely not be his opponent. However, the energy in his body was much less than that of a great sage. The adjudicator immortal technique became purer and more condensed. The terrifying holy light already contained immortal might. In the name of the heavens, I destroy the great calamity, the peerless evil, only I will destroy. I implore the heavens to grant me the technique, and I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and destroy evil. Whoosh! The adjudicator's body soared into the air, and the adjudicator appeared in his hands. The mark of judgment on his forehead resonated with the head and tail of the adjudicator. Lightning intertwined and attached to the adjudicator, wanting to punish the evil. Whoosh! Whoosh! Boom! The adjudicator's blade shattered the shackles in front of him and directly entered the untainted land. It was as if he wanted to break the barrier of this big world, travel through time and space, and enter another world. The power of this blade was even more terrifying than the sacred finger of annihilation. Whoosh! 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 The blade turned into lightning and bloomed in the sky. The dense lightning intertwined, and it was even more terrifying. At this time, the spirits who had fled to the untainted forest looked at the figure in the distance. They were only shocked, but there was no joy because they were already numb. The great sage had been defeated, so what if there was another monster? Adjudicator, start the era. Whoosh! The adjudicator held the adjudicator with both hands, and the blade fell from the sky, splitting mountains and rivers. The entire untainted forest was divided into two, and the untainted land stretched out as if it had pierced through the world. Whoosh! Boom! The adjudicator was bathed in celestial light, and his holy aura was even more powerful. At this moment, there was another saint in the world, an eternal saint comparable to the great sage. The sky roared, and all the laws blessed this saint. However, the adjudicator was not surprised. He knew why he was born, and that was to adjudicate evil souls. He also knew that the price of adjudicating evil souls was likely to be mutual destruction. The adjudicator held the adjudicator tightly, and the bones in his hand cracked. His eyes were like torches, piercing through the void and looking toward the east. Step by step, he walked toward the distant eastern continent. His figure flashed, and his speed was close to that of a great sage. This kind of celestial movement technique was extraordinary and could not be compared with other holy techniques. At this time, Yi Qinghan's physical body had absorbed several immortal peaches, and the power in his body had evolved into celestial spiritual force. The gentle but powerful celestial spiritual force flowed in his empty physical body. Now that his physical body was sanctified and blessed by the heavens, the celestial spiritual force in his body was getting stronger and stronger. It was like hundreds of rivers converging into the sea, boiling and roaring, and flowing endlessly. Boom, 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 boom. The celestial spiritual force in Yi Qinghan's body was getting stronger and stronger, and gradually surpassed the power of the adjudicator. The adjudicator's physical body was ultimately inferior to the golden holy body. Yi Qinghan's physical body was too abnormal, and no matter how much the heavens favored the adjudicator, it was still inferior to the peerless saintly body that Yi Qinghan had gone through so much to obtain. Yi Qinghan's body moved, and his bones cracked. The celestial light on his 8 trigrams yin-yang Taoist robe was activated, and the light flowed. His aura was comparable to the green lotus sword deity. The angry roar of a dragon came from Yi Qinghan's body, as if a peerless dragon was about to be born. Dragon and celestial spiritual force were vast and mighty. Because of Yi Qinghan's physical body and bloodline, the young holy dragon in his body took advantage of him and saved a lot of time, allowing him to enter adulthood directly. Chapter 2179. Green Lotus Sword Deity and the Peach of Immortality Elder looked at Yi Qinghan in the distance. They were quite satisfied with the power of Yi Qinghan's body when it advanced to the sage realm. Although it was not as powerful as a great sage, it was far beyond other sages. Under the great sage realm, there was absolutely no one who could compete with Yi Qinghan and the adjudicator, including Feng Bufan, who was like a madman back then. Because these two guys were simply favored by the heavens. Even Lin Wutian was inferior to them now. In the pyramid, Yi Qinghan and the adjudicator stood at the highest point. Yi Qinghan stretched his back. He felt that with this body, the power of the sacred finger of destruction and the star-picking palm would increase by several levels. More importantly, with this body, he could comprehend the 6th style. As long as he succeeded, he would be a unique existence among the great sages. By connecting the 6 styles and forming the 7th style, he would be an immortal. The first person to become an immortal so far. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and appeared beside Green Lotus Sword Deity. He asked curiously, "How many years has it been?" Green Lotus Sword Immortal glanced at Yi Qinghan and replied, "It's been 230 years. The great world has already fallen, and there are countless casualties. The evil souls are searching for the saints and living beings that escaped. We don't have much time left." "The 4 great sages are dead?" Yi Qinghan asked in surprise. Green Lotus Sword Deity shook his head and said solemnly, "The heavenly Buddha with the devil Buddha's body has been suppressed. We don't know if he's dead. As for the Saint Lord and the others, they are not dead but have escaped." Yi Qinghan was enraged when he heard this. The 4 great sages were defeated and had escaped. He was being sent to his death? "Great Immortal, can we forget that oath? I'm a small saint now. If I go there, I'll definitely die." Yi Qinghan looked pitifully at the Peach of Immortality Elder. He almost cried and begged. The Peach of Immortality Elder shook his head and said firmly, "No. You have to go to the outside world and give it a try because I see a glimmer of hope. Even if it's just a glimmer of hope, I won't give up." Yi Qinghan patted his head, feeling a splitting headache. This was no different from courting death. He was just a minor saint. How could he defeat the evil soul that even 4 great saints couldn't defeat? "How can I kill an evil soul? Give me some advice." Could it be that you have the heart to watch me die? Yi Qinghan asked speechlessly. The Green Lotus Sword Immortal exploded in anger and berated, "If we knew how to kill evil souls, why would we need you? Judgment is the key. Judgment can purify evil," the Immortal Peach Elder said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan immediately went wild with joy. Then there's no need for me. The Divine Punisher is a celestial, and he has the ability to adjudicate. These evil souls are the adjudicator's business. It has nothing to do with me. Don't talk nonsense with me. Today, even if you want to break the heavens, you have to go to the outside world and deal with those evil souls with the adjudicators. If the adjudicators could do it alone, why would I waste a drop of my life essence to save you? Do you think a drop of my life essence is so simple? Even Bailey Longxian hasn't used a drop of my life essence. What makes you think you can? The Immortal Peach Elder had always had the demeanor of a transcendent being, but he was finally angered by Yi Qinghan's shamelessness. He got straight to the point and replied, "You must set off today. Don't forget your oath. Whether or not it works, you must at least try." Yi Qinghan sighed and helplessly asked, "If I really can't suppress the evil soul, can I escape?" The Peach of Immortality Elder smiled mysteriously and said indifferently, "You can." However, the Peach of Immortality Elder said in his heart, "As long as you can escape, then escape." Yi Qinghan only heard the first part of the Peach of Immortality Elder's words, but he didn't know what was in the depths of his heart. He was still grinning from ear to ear, thinking that when the time came, he would run after a fight. He didn't want to give his life to the evil soul. Green Lotus Sword Immortal didn't know what the Peach of Immortality Elder was thinking. She looked expectantly at Yi Qinghan and said, "If you meet Xia Zheyang, help me get my life essence back." Yi Qinghan shrugged and said, "I'll try my best to trick him. However, people like him will definitely take the opportunity to blackmail you. I'm afraid he'll ask me for the orthodox cultivation method of immortal techniques." Green Lotus Sword Immortal stared at Yi Qinghan for a while and asked, "Will you exchange with him for me?" Yi Qinghan immediately said in a serious tone, "What are you thinking? You're so important." Green Lotus Sword Immortal thought that Yi Qinghan would exchange, and a smile appeared on her face. However, Yi Qinghan's last sentence almost made her explode. "But immortal techniques are more important. If we give them to Xia Zheyang, who can stop him? Don't even think about it. I'm doing this for your own good. Once he has immortal techniques, he can kill us." Yi Qinghan's attitude changed and he said in a serious tone, "Get out of my way." Green Lotus Sword Immortal roared angrily, "You're not coming with me?" Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and asked, "Do you want me and Judge to fight the evil soul alone?" Unfortunately, the Peach of Immortality Elder said something even more chilling. "No, you can only go alone. Otherwise, if there are too many people, it'll be easier for you to be exposed. You'll just be sending yourself to your death. Do you want to drag your sect down with you?" The Peach of Immortality Elder asked. Yi Qinghan didn't know what to say anymore. He simply didn't say anything and turned to leave, rushing back the way he came. At this moment, the great world had completely fallen into darkness. The strong had escaped, while the weak could only wait for death. Only a few people kept digging deep holes and escaping underground, but many managed to escape. The evil soul knew that the great sages had fled to the east, so the west was the last pure land. However, it was only a matter of time. If the evil soul couldn't find the great sages, he would naturally head to the west and wipe out the entire great world. The great world would become his slaves. Xia Zheyang had escaped into the coiling dragon mystery realm and was searching for Yi Qinghan and the other great sages. This world was full of refugees and strong people, but now their faces were filled with fear and despair. They had escaped the great world, but unfortunately, they couldn't escape the coiling dragon mystery realm. They couldn't find a way out. There was also a group of people who didn't care about the sea. They built boats and continued to rush east. Time passed slowly. The great world in the east was shrouded in evil aura. There was no longer day and night. The evil soul's face was full of evil, and his eyes were full of killing intent. He looked at the sea, and the evil smile on his face made people's hair stand on end. He had devoured so many souls that he naturally knew the layout of the great world. The Coiling Dragon Island was the largest island in the Eastern Sea. Those people could only escape in that direction. It was at this time that the adjudicator rushed to the east and gave chase. He was unafraid of death. For the sake of the heavens, even if he was about to die, he would still kill the evil soul. Meanwhile, Yi Qinghan was rushing from the Coiling Dragon Island to the Great World. The three sides were bound to collide in the sky above the sea. Chapter 2180. Just as Yi Qinghan stepped out of the Coiling Dragon Island, the sea roared and a wave soared into the sky. The water curtain blocked Yi Qinghan's way. An image appeared on the water curtain out of nowhere. Before Yi Qinghan could react, the image entered his consciousness. Boom! Yi Qinghan quickly retreated to the Coiling Dragon Island. His consciousness was in a trance as if he had seen a terrifying scene. Yi Qinghan saw himself. He saw the whole world. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan felt a figure flash past. It was himself. It was vivid and lifelike, without any changes. It was no different from a real person. He was rushing toward the great world as fast as lightning, riding the wind and breaking the waves. His back was strong, and his eyes were like torches. After traveling for several days, Yi Qinghan didn't know if he was traveling in a dream or if he was actually traveling in the real world. Everything was too normal. It was so normal that the world he saw was not an illusion at all. It was real. The world in the image was so clear that he could even hear the sound of the waves. It was as if he could feel the water lapping on his hand. At some point, Yi Qinghan felt that he was on the way to the world instead of staying on the Coiling Dragon Island. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stepped on the waves. The sound of nature accompanied the storm as he rushed toward the world. At this time, the judge was chasing after him. The sinful soul was also on his way, searching for the whereabouts of the great sage and all things in the world. The evil spirit on his body could affect the sea beasts in the depths of the sea. As soon as he entered the sea, the fishes at the bottom of the sea began to turn white and floated on the surface. The sea was full of skeletons. There were huge sea beasts and beasts that had never been seen before. All of this is so real. Why can I see it? Yi Qinghan felt that he had become one with himself. They could even feel each other's thoughts. Yi Qinghan did not understand what was going on, but he wanted to see what would happen when he reached the world. He wanted to see how it would end and how he would deal with the sinful soul. Everything continued to move forward according to the rules, including the trajectory of the world. There was no disturbance at all. Several days later, the arbiter held the judgment in his hand as he encountered Yi Qinghan and the sinful spirit in the depths of the sea. The sinful spirit looked at the two greedily. Both of their souls were exceptionally strong. They were not as strong as a great sage, but they were far stronger than a saint. Delicious, delicious food. The sinful soul treated the saint's soul as food. He licked the corner of his mouth, and the baleful aura on his body turned black. He let out an angry roar, and the baleful aura on his body turned into a terrifying monster. It opened its mouth, and its fangs pierced through mountains and rivers. It locked onto Yi Qinghan and the adjudicator. Boom! Whoosh! Immortal light shot out in all directions from the sea, tearing apart the baleful aura and obliterating the darkness. The two figures worked together, relying on their speed and immortal techniques to surround and annihilate the sinful souls. The saint-destroying finger could destroy a saint with a single finger. The sea sank, and the waves rose tens of thousands of feet. His saber ruled the souls of the world, and his immortal spiritual energy triggered the firmament transformation. Boom! The sinful soul waved his great sage body, and even the adjudicator could not shake his saint body. He dispersed the joint attack of the two with a single palm. He closed in step by step, and in the blink of an eye, he gained the upper hand. The difference was too great. It was so great that Yi Qinghan and the adjudicator were in despair. Every strike was like a tremor in their hearts. Even though Yi Qinghan was standing on the Coiling Dragon Island, his heart was about to explode. Boom! Bang! A moment later, the sinful soul grabbed the adjudicator and shattered his physical body with a single palm. The immortal spiritual energy and the dark baleful aura intertwined and quickly fused, becoming the sinful soul's power. The adjudicator died, and Yi Qinghan was next. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. When the adjudicator died, he stepped into the space-time and escaped into the depths of the sea. Yi Qinghan saw the ending. This was a warning from the world's consciousness. This time, he could not go to the outside world. If he went, he would die without a doubt. This world would never have a day of peace. Standing on the coiling dragon island, Yi Qinghan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He did not leave but continued to stare at the images sent by the world's warning, hoping to find a way to deal with the sinful soul. Therefore, he continued to watch the warning. The warning did not disappear because of the adjudicator's death. Instead, it continued to observe the world's trajectory. At this moment, the adjudicator, who was far away in the eastern part of the outside world, also received the warning from the world's consciousness. He saw the same scene as Yi Qinghan, saw his death and saw the sinful soul chasing after Yi Qinghan. Moreover, he and Yi Qinghan both wanted to see what the outside world would look like in the future. Therefore, they did not disperse the warning and continued to observe the world's trajectory. The images in the warning quickly faded. All they saw was Yi Qinghan running away while the sinful soul chased after him. Both of them were extremely fast and rushed to the coiling dragon island in the blink of an eye. Half a day later, they entered the coiling dragon's secret realm. There were countless powerful cultivators hiding in the coiling dragon's secret realm. Because of the arrival of the sinful soul, they were all reduced to bones. Their souls were devoured and their flesh rotted away. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to follow the escape route of the peach tree. The four great sages, including the Emperor Sage and the Heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage, watched from afar. They watched as Yi Qinghan was chased by the sinful soul. None of them came to help. The Divine Master Xia Zheyang wanted to see Yi Qinghan use the saintly finger and star-plucking palm again, so he was even more unwilling to help. Just like that, Yi Qinghan was chased for more than 10 years. He regrouped with the peach tree and the mad sect and continued to flee to the edge of the world. Is the world warning telling me that there's no hope? Why don't you tell me how to kill the sinful soul? Yi Qinghan looked at the warning. Until now, he had not found a way to kill the sinful soul. Soon, the edge of the world appeared. Deeper in, there was no spiritual qi, no air, and even no buoyancy. Even a sage could not survive here, let alone a human. In this land of despair, no one could escape. Even the peach tree could not escape death. The saints of the mad sect, Yi Qinghan, and the green lotus sword fairy fought together. At the edge of the world, the peach tree swayed. Celestial light covered the sky and suppressed the evil spirit of the sinful soul. Even if the power of the sinful soul was suppressed by 30%, the saints of the mad sect and Yi Qinghan could not compete with the sinful soul. The green lotus sword fairy had lost half of his source and was a crippled great sage. His combat ability was even weaker than Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan watched as the saints of the crazy sect fell one by one. His heart was burning with anxiety, as if it was really happening. The feeling of reality was too real, so real that he thought it was all happening. At this moment, his breathing was rapid and his heart was heaving up and down, as if it was about to burst. In the end, the four great sages did not make a move, causing the entire mad sect to be annihilated. Even the green lotus sword fairy could not escape death. The peach tree was also destroyed by the sinful soul. Only Yi Qinghan escaped and fled into the land of despair. There was no survival, no breathing, no spiritual qi, nothing. Everything was in a state of confusion. At this time, the heaven warning suddenly released a strong light, as if hinting at a way to kill the sinful soul. However, at this critical moment, an evil spirit came from the center of the sea and woke Yi Qinghan up. The warning was broken and the image collapsed. In the end, Yi Qinghan could not find a way. When he woke up, he looked up and saw that the sinful soul was almost at the coiling dragon island. No, I can't take him and escape in the direction of the mad sect. Yi Qinghan stared at the depths of the sea and was about to escape in another direction. However, the saint of universal love rushed from the depths of the coiling dragon island to his back. I said that I will follow you. You and I will fight the sinful soul together. The saint of universal love said firmly. Chapter 2181. Yi Qinghan had no time to reprimand the mischievous charity saint. He turned back to look at the sinful soul, stretched out his hand, and pulled the charity saint up into the sky. The sinful soul's aura was monstrous. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, dark clouds covered the sky, and darkness shrouded the ocean. The baleful aura could already kill a half-saint. Once a saint touched it, he would definitely lose himself. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The waves surged for thousands of miles. The sinful soul's palm shattered mountains and rivers, and he reached out to grab Yi Qinghan. Boom! Sacred finger of destruction. Yi Qinghan countered with a backhand attack. The two auras collided. He used the momentum to escape, and his speed increased. Immortal techniques surrounded him, and holy light filled the air. He streaked across the ocean like a meteor flame. Boom! The sacred finger of destruction shattered the heavens, and the ocean roared. The aura shook the great saint's body. The sinful soul's claw tore through the shackles and crashed into the sacred finger of destruction. The claw was shattered, and Yi Qinghan escaped in an instant. This demonic technique again. Its power is even purer than Xia Zhaoyang's. You're only a minor saint, yet you can shatter my attack. I can't let you live. The sinful soul had a strong desire to kill a saint for the first time, and it was not a desire for food. Boom! Whoosh. The two waves separated. The sinful soul's speed was even more exaggerated than Yi Qinghan's. After a while, he saw Yi Qinghan's figure. And, how dare you escape in front of me? Do you think you're a great saint? The sinful soul roared, and his speed increased again. Yi Qinghan's figure could be seen clearly. Roar! A dragon's roar came from Yi Qinghan's body, and scales quickly grew on the surface of his body. His body evolved again, and he broke through the shackles. Even a great saint's body could not compare to this. Whoosh! Then, a pair of wings grew on Yi Qinghan's back. It was the god-devouring eagle armor. In order to increase his speed, Yi Qinghan did not care about his foundation. He had to escape today. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan was like a golden-winged rock. With a flap of his wings, the void cracked, and alternate dimensions appeared continuously. Space-time turbulence swept out in all directions. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan carried the Saint of Compassion on his back as his wings constantly flapped the river of space-time. His legs shattered the stellar river as he occasionally fled through the heavens and swooped down into the sea to delay the evil souls. Even so, Yi Qinghan still couldn't shake off the evil souls. He couldn't wait any longer, and his furious roars shook the ocean waves. Whoosh! Whoosh! At whoosh! 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 Yi Qinghan fell silent. He could not think too much. If he paused, he would be caught by the evil spirit. It was at this point that the divine bird landed on Yi Qinghan's back, its eyes fixed on the back of Yi Qinghan. When it saw the evil soul retracting its baleful aura, it didn't seem willing to waste any more energy. Chasing after Yi Qinghan wasn't an easy task. Based on its speed alone, it was second only to a great sage. Furthermore, it was using the power of immortals, which was of a much higher level than holy power. Boss, I wonder how good this guy is at swimming. Let's try taking the water route. The divine bird suggested. Yi Qinghan had no other choice. He could only try everything he could. He dove into the sea and used his water origin to protect the two of them. He retracted his wings and sped through the water like a dragon, diving deeper and deeper into the sea. Whoosh, whoosh. The evil spirit had been chasing for half a month. How could it give up now? It dove into the sea as well. Damned ant, I'd like to see where you can run to. The evil spirit chased relentlessly. Its roar filled the sky, causing huge waves to sweep across the heavens. Yi Qinghan was not willing to respond. He kept flinging his dragon's aura as he fled into the depths of the sea. What should we do? Yi Qinghan's soul was in high gear as he pondered what to do. If he was killed today, the great world would be finished. They could only rely on the adjudicators. It was better to rely on oneself than on others. He could not bear to die. The divine bird was protected by the water origin and was not affected by the seawater. It was even more anxious. Now that Yi Qinghan had become a great sage, it would be easy for him to become a great sage. It did not want to die just like that when the good days came. Boss, we know the outcome. Since the 4 great sages are watching, we don't have to worry about anything. Let's lure this bastard to the great sage's location, the divine bird suggested. Yi Qinghan saw the warning from the world's consciousness. It happened in his sea of consciousness, so the divine bird could naturally see it. Yi Qinghan frowned. Where could he find the 4 great sages at this time? If he could find them, he would definitely not spare these 4 old fellows. When he thought about how the 4 great sages would stand by and do nothing, he wanted to kill these 4 great sages. At the place where the immortal peach tree and the mad sect gathered, Bailey Chenxiang walked to the place where the immortal peach tree was rooted. She said respectfully, "Grandpa Immortal Peach Yi Qinghan. He did not go to the great world. He ran away." Ran away? The immortal peach tree swayed its branches. It was obviously angry as it questioned her in disbelief. According to the information from Baihua, he stayed on Coiling Dragon Island for a while. In the end, the evil soul chased him to Coiling Dragon Island. He ran towards the depths of the sea. The adjudicator chased him to the east of the great world, but he also stayed in a valley for a while. In the end, not only did he not go to the sea, he ran towards the west instead, Bailey Chenxiang said helplessly. The immortal peach tree shook its body and transformed into a dignified white-haired old man. His face was filled with confusion and anger. He clenched his iron fist and said, "What are these 2 fellows trying to do? Are they going to give up just like that?" Yi Qinghan is bound by an oath. Is he not afraid of the punishment of the heavens? The adjudicator is a heaven executor. Now that the world is destroyed, he actually chose to run away? At this moment, Green Lotus Sword Deity came before the 2 with his immortal sword. He said in a low voice, "Something's not right." Yi Qinghan and the evil soul both stopped at a certain point. Then, they did not follow the previous path. Instead, they ran into the distance. This means that something happened when they stopped. What do you mean? The immortal peach elder asked with a frown. A warning from the heavens. That's very likely the case. Even if the 2 of them fought together, without the intervention of a great sage, they would not stand a chance. That's why the heavens gave them a warning to let them run away, Green Lotus Sword Deity said in a low voice. Then Yi Qinghan led the evil soul away alone. Doesn't that mean he's doomed? The immortal peach elder's face sank. According to his speculation, Yi Qinghan and the adjudicator were the last hope. The death of either could lead to the complete destruction of the world. Chapter 2182. At the corner of the small domain, the immortal peach tree and Green Lotus Sword Fairy discussed for a while, and came to a conclusion. Yi Qinghan and the judge could not suppress the evil souls now. This macro world would be shrouded in darkness for a short time, and the Dharma ending age would descend. The saints of the eccentric sect were still cultivating hard at the moment. Everyone wanted to go one step further and enter the supreme saint realm. The swordsmen cultivated the Green Lotus Sword Song, while the others cultivated the Taiji Immortal Scripture. Yi Qinghan imparted the Taiji Immortal Scripture to them without reservation. As for the Saint of Annihilation and the Star-Picking Hand, he wanted to impart them, but he could not. Even the Universal Love Saint could not learn them, let alone the others. Green Lotus Sword Fairy waved her hand and slapped the immortal sword on the rock, awakening the people of the eccentric sect who were cultivating. Get ready to leave. It is no longer safe here, Green Lotus Sword Fairy said crisply. At the moment, the people of the eccentric sect did not know that Yi Qinghan was being chased by the evil souls alone. Otherwise, they would have been impatient. When they heard that Green Lotus Sword Fairy wanted to migrate, many people did not think much of it, but Emperor Yi and Jian Chenxue could not help but think more. Senior Sword Fairy, where is my husband? Emperor Yi asked. Green Lotus Sword Fairy licked her snow-white teeth with the tip of her tongue and looked at Jian Chenxue and the others of the eccentric sect. She did not want this group of people to die, so she chose to lie and said lightly, He is fine. He has already escaped. Fu, Aijian Shenxue and the others did not expect Green Lotus Sword Fairy to lie to them, so they chose to believe her. The saints raised their heads and looked into the depths. They did not know where the depths were, so they could only follow Green Lotus Sword Fairy and flee into the depths. At the moment, Yi Qinghan was running wildly in the sea. The evil souls were chasing him all the way. He did not know how many years he had been running, and the evil souls were almost exhausted. Yi Qinghan looked desperate as he floated in the sea, gasping for breath. Phew! The sinful soul's eyes turned red as he stared angrily at the distant Yi Qinghan. He had chased for more than 10 years, but he could not see the edge of the sea, nor could he catch up to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan had many divine pets in his body, and the holy dragon was at the level of a saint. It could carry him and the universal love saint to escape, and the universal love saint could also help them escape. The two of them and a group of divine pets actually managed to drag the evil soul to death. "You old bastard, why are you chasing me so closely?" The divine bird roared angrily. Sinful souls were already filled with resentment, and now they were even more resentful. Their killing intent was everywhere, and their legs were as heavy as lead. So what if Yang Qi was a great sage? After all, there was a limit to one's power. Any other great sage would have long since succumbed to such extreme speed. You country bumpkin. You have no feelings, only negative emotions. What can you do with your life? Why don't you just smash your head into the sea and die? The divine bird was in high spirits. After more than 10 years, it finally found a chance to vent its frustrations. It repeatedly cursed the sinful soul. Phew! The sinful soul was already burning with anger, and now that it was cursed by the divine bird, it became even more furious. It rushed up from the sea and charged towards Yi Qinghan. Whoosh! The waves were stirred up and swept towards Yi Qinghan. Whoosh! The Yi Qinghan did not hesitate to escape with the universal love saint, and he even let the divine bird continue cursing as viciously as it could. The sinful soul was evil to begin with, and when its negative emotions erupted, it was absolutely terrifying. After being provoked by the divine bird, it began to chase Yi Qinghan relentlessly. It even said that it would target Yi Qinghan for the rest of its life. The two of them chased each other. Even though Yi Qinghan had the absolute holy golden body and his physical body had reached a perfect state, he still felt tired at this moment. After running for about half a year, the universal love saint finally took over, and they continued to run. Just like that, Yi Qinghan fled with the universal love saint for a few more years. In the end, they were exhausted. Not to mention Yi Qinghan and the sinful soul, even the universal love saint and the divine pet in his body did not want to come out. Only the divine bird continued to curse, and the more it cursed, the more energetic it became. In the end, the sinful soul forcibly captured a sea beast. It stood on the back of the sea beast and glared angrily at Yi Qinghan. At some point in time, Yi Qinghan finally found an island. It wasn't big, but it was still a few million square kilometers. Yi Qinghan and the universal love saint walked on the beach with difficulty, and the sinful soul also rushed over. The three of them had to walk. They couldn't even fly. Their bodies were completely drained of energy, and their bodies were extremely exhausted. They had been on the run for 30 years. Yi Qinghan's current appearance was neither human nor ghost, and he looked extremely miserable. Even a great beauty like Charity Saint looked like a beggar. "You bastard, can you stop chasing me? Is there any meaning to it? You can't catch me. Why don't you chase after a great sage? Killing a great sage is much more comfortable than devouring my soul." Yi Qinghan placed his hands on his knees and bent his body. He was just short of kneeling on the ground. He looked at the sinful soul about a few thousand meters away and earnestly advised. Roared at the sinful soul was unprecedentedly angry. His ruthlessness had faded, but his killing intent was even stronger. He glared at Yi Qinghan, as though he wouldn't give up until he achieved his goal. "You are dead. I will let you die in the most painful way possible." The sinful soul roared. Yi Qinghan wiped the sweat off his forehead. He was soaked. He felt helpless against this unwavering sinful soul. He suddenly regretted letting the divine bird enrage him. I already said that you can't catch me. I still have one peach of immortality. It can provide me with 2 more peak powers. How are you going to catch me? Yi Qinghan cursed in exasperation. In order to escape, he had used up 2 peaches of immortality in the past 30 years. He was only left with 1. He really couldn't bear to use it. Hoo. The sinful soul really wanted to give up at this moment, but Yi Qinghan was right in front of him. How could he let him leave willingly? Furthermore, it would take at least a few decades or even a century to return to the great world's mainland. This process was boring and it only made him angrier. Why don't we make a deal? You let me go, and I will avoid you in the future. How about that? Yi Qinghan said frantically. The sinful soul looked at Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint evilly. His eyes were filled with greed and anger. When he saw Yi Qinghan's pleading expression, he sneered, "Ant. You are the first bastard to run so fast. If I don't kill you today, you will be a problem in the future. If you want to live, sure. Tell me the demonic cultivation method you used previously, and I will let you live as my dog." Demonic cultivation? Yi Qinghan was taken aback. The sinful soul was probably referring to the sacred annihilation finger. Xia Zhaoyang knows it too. You used it before. It's called sacred annihilation finger. The sinful soul immediately explained when he saw Yi Qinghan's stunned expression. Yi Qinghan was taken aback. He said suspiciously, "Xia Zhaoyang knows it too? How is that possible? How is that not possible? The power he unleashed was not as pure as yours, but it was quite powerful. Teach me this demonic cultivation method and I will spare your life." The sinful soul's evil aura surged as he approached Yi Qinghan again. Chapter 2183. Every time the sinful soul took a step forward, Yi Qinghan would take 3 steps back, maintaining a safe distance from him. Immortal arts? Don't even think about it. How about this? You have a grudge with Xia Zhaoyang, but so do I. Why don't you kill Xia Zhaoyang? I can give you a great scripture that's not inferior to immortal arts. How about that? Yi Qinghan tempted. The sinful soul stared at Yi Qinghan with a sinister smile. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he mocked. "You ant, you still want to escape? How are you going to bargain with me? I'll devour your soul. Everything you have will be mine." Whoosh! Before the sinful soul could do anything, Yi Qinghan fled. He didn't care about the prestige of a saint. Escaping with his life was his priority. Yi Qinghan transformed into a meteor that streaked across the sky, taking Charity Saint with him. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared again. "I don't believe you can escape to the end of the world." The sinful soul was enraged. With a stomp of his foot, the entire island was torn apart. His figure flashed and disappeared. Whoosh, 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 2 meteor flames shone brightly in the sky. Yi Qinghan used the peach of immortality once again. However, he only managed to devour half of it before recovering to his peak state. His speed reached the limit, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace, shaking off the sinful soul. The sinful soul couldn't replenish himself. There were no souls here for him to devour, so he could only rely on himself to recover. The boundless sea had very little spiritual energy. All the sea beasts and fish had fled to the depths. Several months later, in the vast sea, Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint were panting. When they saw that there was no trace of the sinful soul behind them, they couldn't help but smile at each other. "We've finally shaken off that bastard. If he wants to fly back, he won't be able to reach the core of the great world in less than 100 years. Yi Qinghan lay on the holy dragon's body and grinned. 100 years wasn't a long time, but at this critical moment, it seemed very long. What should we do? We can't just float on the sea forever, right? After the universal love saint laughed, he began to think about how to find a way out. No one had ever traversed this part of the ocean, and the great saint would not be so bored as to explore the ocean. Let's find an island and enjoy life. These past few decades have been the most tiring for me. Yi Qinghan was panting. Indeed, the past few decades of running had not only exhausted his body, but also his soul. If he did not take a deep breath, he would definitely die. The holy dragon rode the wind and broke through the waves, carrying the two of them as they fled madly through the sea. The sun set and the moon rose. After about 3 months, they finally discovered a sizable stretch of land that stretched from north to south. Yi Qinghan put away the holy dragon and rushed to the surface of the sea with Charity Saint. His divine senses spread out continuously, but he did not manage to cover the entire sea. It's about the same size as the Xiaohou sacred land. There should be humans living here. Yi Qinghan's consciousness swept past and discovered some humanoid life forms. He then brought the universal love saint to the depths of the land and sea. From the edge of the land and sea, everything was still in a state of wilderness. Only tall forests, towering mountains, and thistles and thorns could be seen. There was no sign of human life at all. It's a blessing that no life has been born. This era is not suitable for humans to live in. Yi Qinghan sighed softly and continued to venture deeper. After about half a day, the sky darkened. The moonlight was like water, and the stars twinkled. A plane appeared in front of them, and there were traces left behind by humans. Look, aren't those houses? Charity Saint was shocked and hurriedly pointed at the stone-built houses. Yi Qinghan nodded. These stones were obviously piled up by humans or intelligent life forms. They were no different from houses, but there were weeds growing all around. From the looks of it, the intelligent life forms here should all be dead. They've been gone for many years, Yi Qinghan murmured. The saint of universal love nodded in agreement. His eyes were bright as he looked down at the plains. There are signs of flooding here. Perhaps it was a natural disaster. But to be able to flood such a large piece of land, how big of a disaster must it be? Yi Qinghan fell silent for a moment. He probed the spirit qi in the surroundings. It was very dense. After all, no one had used it for many years. After accumulating so much, the spirit qi here wasn't inferior to that of the greater world. There were also many sacred herbs, but they were of very low quality. Let's set up camp here for 3 days. You guys go explore this land and see. Yi Qinghan released his divine birds and other divine pets. High-level creatures like the multicolored snake quickly rushed out in all directions. Only Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint were left. The two of them walked towards the stone-built houses and found a larger one to enter. Everything inside had been weathered. If it weren't for the minute details, it would be impossible to tell that intelligent life forms had once gathered here. There was a stone bed that wasn't very smooth. After countless years of weathering, it shattered at the slightest touch. There were many weeds and thorns in the house. Yi Qinghan simply cleaned it up and burned it with fire. The house no longer smelled bad. Let's rest here today. We'll continue after we've adjusted ourselves, Yi Qinghan suggested. Charity Saint followed the weak light and looked at Yi Qinghan. His fairy-like face blushed slightly as he nodded and said, "It's up to you." Yi Qinghan was already extremely tired. Even if he stripped naked, he wouldn't be able to do it, let alone Charity Saint's slight gesture. He then got 2 more stones and made them into stone slabs. He then laid them on the ground and sat cross-legged to rest. Charity Saint's big eyes flashed. Seeing that Yi Qinghan had already entered a meditative state, he couldn't help but pout but did not say anything. A guy with evil intentions but no guts. What a flowery mouth. Now that a great beauty is right in front of him, he doesn't even know how to say a few nice words. Charity Saint secretly cursed. He then sat down and adjusted his body to recover his sacred power. Charity Saint's body was filled with halos and yin power. She was called the goddess of love, which meant that she was different from the rest. Copulating with her would bring about unexpected gains. Which man in the world wouldn't want to copulate with this dreamy goddess? Only Yi Qinghan, the hothead, didn't think of it and didn't have any thoughts about it at the moment. Yi Qinghan ignored the meaning of Charity Saint's following. Not only was it following, but it also meant that she wanted to devote herself to him. It was possible for him to flirt with Charity Saint verbally, but if he was asked to take action, he would definitely not take the initiative if Charity Saint didn't take the initiative. If Charity Saint took the initiative, he definitely wouldn't refuse. This guy was famous for being irresponsible if he didn't refuse. If there were benefits, how could he refuse? He was definitely not a hypocrite. The two of them didn't speak for the entire night. Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint's aura was rapidly recovering, becoming majestic and vast. Sacred power surged and immortal power surrounded the room. The weeds around the room were evolving, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, wanting to evolve into intelligent and conscious creatures. The next day, Yi Qinghan was still cultivating hard, comprehending the sacred finger of annihilation and the star-plucking hand. Charity Saint had already gotten up. She hadn't done much in the pursuit for the past few decades. It was Yi Qinghan and the sacred dragon who had been escaping. After she woke up, she looked at Yi Qinghan's face from the side and was somewhat entranced. A faint ambiguous aura flowed in the room like an aphrodisiac, symbolizing that she had fallen in love. Chapter 2184. In the native's hut, Yi Qinghan was still meditating. The little person in his mind was practicing the sacred finger of annihilation and the star-plucking hand. He was getting more and more familiar with it, and the speed of his hand seals was getting faster and more accurate. Naturally, the power was getting stronger. Once, twice, Yi Qinghan didn't even know how many times he had practiced. Perhaps 10,000 times, or perhaps 1,000,000 times. The Saint of Universal Love looked at Yi Qinghan's serious side profile and was somewhat infatuated. She had never observed a man at such a close distance. Never had she thought that such a process would be so enjoyable and comfortable. It was as if she was happier than when she became a saint. A smile bloomed on the Saint of Universal Love's beautiful face. The corner of her mouth lifted slightly. This smile was even more charming and intoxicating. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan couldn't see it. The stone hut didn't understand love. Yi Qinghan was cultivating diligently. The Saint of Universal Love sat on the stone slab with her hands hugging her slender legs. Her chin rested on her knees, and her head was tilted to one side. Her golden hair and blue eyes had a hint of gold. At this moment, her appearance made the little flowers outside the hut bloom with a smile. She was exceptionally beautiful. The aura of love was slowly flowing. Both inside and outside the hut were exceptionally beautiful. A ray of rainbows stretched across the sea and land. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth surged, and all rushed into the hut. Yi Qinghan was breathing in and out the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, transforming it into saint power and finally into celestial power. The celestial light on the surface of his body flowed. His black hair surged, and his vigorous face exuded a charming temperament. His blood boiled and surged, surging through his limbs and bones. The little person in his mind was rapidly practicing the space-piercing star-plucking hand, creating a torrential sea of bitterness. A wild aura rushed out of his body. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's aura rose. A gust of qi penetrated the stone hut, and the entire stone hut swayed in all directions. The Saint of Universal Love's straight golden hair swayed to one side. Her eyes were blurred, and her smile was even more charming. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan tore through the air as his saint body performed the sacred finger of annihilation and the space-piercing star-picking hand. Every move, every style, and every seal was performed in great detail. However, he did not waste any of his saint power. He only used less than 1,000th of his power to sense the circulation route of the saint power. Even if there was some abnormal power, he could clearly sense it. From morning to night, Yi Qinghan seemed to have entered an epiphany. His speed went from fast to slow, then from slow to fast. Every movement and technique was imprinted in the Saint of Charity's consciousness. The profound runes on the first and second pages of the imprisoning Heaven Tao scripture swam through Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. This kind of abstrusity could be seen but could not be described. This caused him to be unable to teach the Universal Love Saint in detail. This could only depend on her comprehension, talent, and luck. The Saint of Universal Love stood up and began to calm down to comprehend the sacred finger of annihilation and the star-picking hand. Just like that, she followed Yi Qinghan to comprehend for an entire day. Only when Yi Qinghan woke up at night did she stop cultivating. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's temperament was extraordinary. He was like an immortal, yet also like a mortal. Words could not describe it. Every move, every look, and every smile was filled with natural charm. The night once again shone on the mortal world. The starlight and moonlight bathed the world. It was as if the two of them were the center of the world. When the two of them calmed down and looked at each other, a trace of throbbing appeared. Their eyes were filled with tenderness and impulsiveness. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan gently stepped on the ground. His divine robes swayed with a rustling sound. His eyes were full of spirit as he looked at the beauty with a seductive temperament. He reached out and grabbed the Universal Love Saint's jade-like hands that were as white as snow. The touch touched her soul. The Universal Love Saint's heart was in a mess. Her heartbeat sped up and her face was as red as a ripe apple. She wanted to pull her hands back but did not want to. She was very conflicted. She had never thought that she would be looked down at by a man at such a close distance. At this moment, it was as if she was naked. She was so open to Yi Qinghan. Although she was shy, she was also happy. She lowered her head and smiled shyly. "It's been hard on you." Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse from exhaustion. It was magnetic and mature. This one sentence made the Universal Love Saint's heart about to explode. The Universal Love Saint moved along Yi Qinghan's arm and approached him. She lowered her head and said softly, "I've said it before. As long as you can survive, I will follow you wherever you go. This time, I came with the determination to die. It's already fortunate that I didn't die. How can it be hard?" She had not been moved for countless years. She did not understand emotions and was clinging to the past. Now, she understood what love was and what true feelings were. When she became shy, it made a man's bones tingle. Yi Qinghan pulled the Universal Love Saint into his arms. He lowered his head and hugged her frail waist. He looked down at the woman who was so seductive that she could drive men crazy. Her slightly wriggling cherry lips had a charm that Eastern women did not have. It was so attractive. The two of them were very close. The Universal Love Saint still had some courage before, but once Yi Qinghan made a move, she was actually a little afraid. She could not help but retreat. But how could she escape from Yi Qinghan's palm? Pop! Yi Qinghan reached out his left hand to steady the Universal Love Saint's head. He pressed his lips on that cherry. The tip of his tongue moved, pried open her white teeth, and wrapped around that sweet tongue. A virgin fragrance assailed his nose. Would the Universal Love Saint had never felt this way before. She wanted to speak and struggle, but when she was wrapped around by the tongue, her entire body went numb. A current flowed through her body, and she lost control of her sacred power. She collapsed in Yi Qinghan's arms, allowing Yi Qinghan to do whatever he wanted. At this time, the divine pets were very respectful. They let the divine bird lead the way and roamed the land and sea in search of rare treasures. Let me tell you, Boss is definitely having sex with the goddess of love right now. If you go back now, you can see the wonderful scenery. But if you ruin Boss's plans, he will throw you to the evil souls, the divine bird said solemnly. Keep bragging. The other divine pets were dismissive. They obviously did not believe the divine bird. Tisk tiskitis. How long have you been with Boss? I watched him grow up. I know what kind of pants he wears and how many hairs he has. Boss is now enjoying the beauty's favor. It feels so good, the divine bird said. The little money grubber looked at her husband in disdain. She mocked, I think you've gone crazy from holding it in. You're always thinking about those useless things. Even your son has surpassed you. I don't know what qualifications you have to be the boss of us divine beasts. If I were you, I would have killed myself in the sea. Ha! The multicolored snake, God-eater eagle, little golden crow, and the divine dragon were not polite. They laughed wantonly. The divine bird's dignity as the boss was swept away. The divine bird's eyes were wide open. He stared at the little money grubber. He was flustered and exasperated by the other divine pet's laughter, but he did not dare to provoke the little money grubber. He could only say harshly, if you weren't a female, I would have whipped you. Oh, you're so capable. The evil soul is male. Do you dare to whip him? The little money grubber sneered unceremoniously. The divine bird, whooshed at this time, a beam of immortal light shot up from the sky where Yi Qinghan was. It shot straight into the clouds. It connected heaven and earth. It pierced through the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers. It caused billions of stars to flash. Chapter 2185. Whoosh! Immortal light shot up into the sky and could be seen clearly even from afar. This immortal light attracted the sinful soul from afar. He had experienced many vicissitudes of life, and it was even harder than fighting the 4 great sages. At this moment he looked like a beggar. Only his great sage robe was still standing strong. His eyes looked as if they were soaked in blood. Even the heavens are helping me. This world owes me. Now is the time for me to get what I want. And even if you run to the ends of the earth, I can still catch you. Immortal arts are not something ants like you can enjoy. The sinful soul dragged his tired body towards the sea and the land, but his speed was 50% slower than before. It had been 50 to 60 years since the sinful soul started chasing Yi Qinghan. Even if he was a robot, he would have rusted and been scrapped after chasing for 50 years without rest. Only a supreme soul like him with a great sage body could last for so long. Whoosh! The sinful soul traveled day and night. His face was ferocious, and his resentment and killing intent poured out involuntarily. He was even angrier than when he was just born. A great sage couldn't bear the frustration of being defeated by an ant, let alone a sinful soul like him whose mind was filled with negative emotions. On the sea and the land, Yi Qinghan and the Saint of Universal Love were entangled, their hearts and minds as one. The heart of love in the Saint of Universal Love was so pure that it stimulated every bit of potential in Yi Qinghan's body, causing his soul and body to rapidly sublimate. It made Yi Qinghan feel more comfortable and intoxicated than the immortal elixir. At this moment, when he looked at the heaven-imprisoning Tao scripture again, the abstruse mysteries were actually so clear. The 6th style of the star-picking hand didn't seem so unattainable anymore. The abstruse runes that had blocked him evolved into little people that condensed hand seals, wanting to reshape the world. He could even see the evolution of the world, the formation and birth of the galaxy and universe. It was too complicated. Even at this moment, Yi Qinghan could only vaguely see the abstruse mysteries. If he wanted to unleash the peak of the 6th style, he still needed time to comprehend it. Once he cultivated the 6th style, he would be in the Great Sage Realm. The Great Sage Realm could be seen from afar, but could not be touched. Even Yi Qinghan and the Adjudicator, who were favored by the heavens, needed a terrifying amount of time to digest it. If one could connect the 6 moves of the star-seizing hand and form the 7th move, then one would step onto the supreme path of immortality and enter another level. Yi Qinghan did not know if there were immortals. He did not even dare to believe that one day he would be the only one to become an immortal. How lonely would that be? At this moment, he did not want to think about what kind of opportunities he would encounter on the path of immortality, or whether he would be the only one on the path of immortality. Now, he only wanted to cultivate the 6th style, kill the evil soul, and kill Xia Zhaoyang. Not for the heavens, not for all living beings, not for the sages, but for himself, for the crazy sect, and for the people closest to him. The 6th style didn't have a name, only the evolution of the world, the formation of the universe, and the birth of life. Perhaps the 6th style wasn't for the sake of slaughter, but for the sake of creation. Creation was accompanied by destruction. With a single thought, life could be extinguished. As Yi Qinghan ran through the holy land of the Holy of Charity, he watched the world change with the Holy of Charity, creating and destroying all life. After an entire night, the 2 souls were enhanced by more than 10 times. They were not comparable to the great saints, but they were far more powerful. Their souls were strong enough to activate any immortal secret technique. It wasn't until dawn that Yi Qinghan used up all of his essence, sending the burning life force into the holy land of the Holy of Charity. The Holy of Charity was limp. Her body was curled up, and she was exceptionally charming. Her golden blue eyes were blurred, and her small mouth was slightly open. Even a sage body couldn't take it. It was more difficult than fighting a saint, but her soul was exceptionally satisfied. So, this is what it feels like. The Holy of Charity said in a trembling voice. Yi Qinghan hugged the Holy of Charity and comforted her for a while. Then he merged his soul into the imprisoning heaven Taoist scripture again, comprehending the sixth style, and diligently cultivating the third style of the Saint Destroyer finger. With all three fingers, killing a great saint was just a matter of waving his hand. The two's treasured bodies flowed with immortal light as if they were in a deep sleep. They did not know that the evil soul was rapidly approaching. However, at this moment, Yi Qinghan's golden body of utmost holiness was operating rapidly, actively absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Finally, it took the initiative to convert it into immortal spiritual force. His strength was rapidly increasing, and he was many times stronger than before. Although he couldn't defeat the great sage, nor could he defeat the sinful soul, he could still escape. If he led the sinful soul around the ocean, he would eventually be able to exhaust the sinful soul to death. Unless the sinful soul gave up on pursuing him, he would first destroy the world and devour all life to strengthen himself. However, he was already enraged. It was almost impossible for him to give up on pursuing Yi Qinghan. Just as Yi Qinghan was comprehending the third style of the Saint Destroyer finger and the sixth style of the star-plucking hand, the Holy of Charity rested for half a day. She finally regained her strength, and her body felt warm. She felt that her strength and soul had increased by more than 10 times. If she used the Eye of Destruction again, perhaps she wouldn't have to waste any of the Holy of Charity's life force. After putting on her clothes, the Holy of Charity moved slightly. It was so comfortable that she couldn't help but moan. Her face was flushed. Looking at the surrounding mountains and wilderness, she became even more bashful. She didn't expect that she would really have sex with Yi Qinghan. Moreover, it was in the wilderness. However, the Holy of Charity was only satisfied now. She didn't feel any reluctance. She was so willing that she probably wouldn't hesitate to die now. Boom roar. Just as the Holy of Charity was immersed in the memories of last night, a power that didn't belong to the mortal world appeared in the west of the sea and continent. Holy power surged. The Holy Dragon and the God-Eater Eagle joined forces to fight a terrifying water-type creature. Their fight was earth-shattering and huge waves surged. The seawater quickly rushed to the center of the sea and continent, drowning the stone houses. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at the road ahead, then looked to the east. He immediately got up and said, "Let's go. The evil soul is chasing after us again. This son of a bitch is really haunting us." The Holy of Charity didn't find the evil soul, but she discovered that on the other side of the sea and continent, there was a saint-level sea beast that could fight against the Holy Dragon. The intelligent creatures here must have been swallowed by the seawater because of this saint-level sea beast's anger. Chapter 2186. The sea drowned the land and sea, and the waves surged. Sacred beasts fought each other. The sacred dragon was already strong, and with the God-Eater Eagle attacking from both sides, the sacred water-type sea beasts at the edge of the land and sea quickly fell into a disadvantage. Roar! Screech! The sacred dragon roared, the eagle took the sky, and lightning tore the river apart. In the blink of an eye, close to 1,000 moves were exchanged. Yi Qinghan looked in the direction of the evil souls, and then at the battlefield where the sacred beasts were fighting. Without hesitation, he rushed to the sacred beast battlefield. He waved his hand to pluck the stars and grabbed the giant water-type sea beast. His immortal technique was profound. The powerful sacred beast's body was comparable to the golden body of the absolute saint, but under the attack of the immortal technique, it turned into rotten wood. Roar! Roared at the water-type sacred beast shrieked in pain as its fangs bit into Yi Qinghan's large hand that was condensed from saint energy. It tore the hand of stars apart, but its injuries worsened as blood flowed like a river. Before it could escape, Yi Qinghan had already stepped on its head. "Surrender or die. I'll give you 3 breaths to consider. If you miss this time, you won't have another chance." Yi Qinghan stood on the giant beast's head and looked down at the sacred beast. It was as if he was looking at an ant that he could crush easily. The giant water-type sacred beast was as long as a giant dragon, but its body was different. It didn't have scales and looked more like a hui, but it was of a higher level. It had a half-meter-long antenna on its head that could move seawater. It was faster in the sea than a sacred beast in the air. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan had just finished speaking when the fifth move of the star-plucking hand began to gather. The immortal sword was in the air, ready to destroy the sacred beast. The water-type sacred beast screamed and didn't dare to resist the immortal technique. Yubo looked at the man standing on its head. He was at most a little bigger than the antenna, but the power he contained was enough to destroy 10 sacred beasts. Bang bang bang! The water-type sacred beast kept kowtowing. The sacred beast could speak human language and begged for mercy. "Hi sage, please spare my life. I'm willing to surrender." Whoosh! The universal love saint appeared behind Yi Qinghan in a flash. The sacred dragon turned into a mark and rushed into Yi Qinghan's blood with the god-eater eagle. The divine bird laughed and said, "Boss is mighty. My respect for you is like a torrential river, endless and unending." This despicable bird said that you have slept with the goddess of love and have been very intimate these 2 days. The little money grubber instantly stabbed the divine bird in the head. The divine bird, Yi Qinghan smiled. The divine bird knew him best. However, the saint of universal love's head drooped all the way to his chest. His face was red as he glared fiercely at the divine bird. "Let's go," Yi Qinghan ordered indifferently. A water-type saint-level sea beast was filled with an order that could not be disobeyed. Whoosh! The water saint-level sea beast's speed was even faster than a saint's. Its antennae were emitting a mysterious wave. Not only was the seawater not a hindrance, but it was also an aid, increasing its speed. In the blink of an eye, it had left the land and charged into the depths of the sea. At this moment, Yi Qinghan could not imagine how deep and wide the sea was. If he had set off towards the west, he would probably have been able to travel to the western edge of the holy land of Oshi. However, he was still in the middle of the sea. Is this great world a planet or a flat continent? Yi Qinghan looked at the saint of universal love and asked curiously. The saint of universal love shook her head. She was a veteran saint, but even she did not know the full picture of this great world. Perhaps only the world's consciousness knew how big the world was. However, the world's consciousness only warned Yi Qinghan of the escape route in the future. It did not warn him of which route was the way to survive. Is this world's consciousness sick in the head? Why didn't it directly warn me of the escape route and the way to kill the sinful souls? Instead, it let me see a bunch of useless endings, wasting a lot of my time. It caused me to not be able to see the final solution. If I can't find a way to win, this ending is already inevitable. What's the point of telling me? Yi Qinghan raged. The saint of universal love was shocked. She did not expect that Yi Qinghan would receive the warning of the world's consciousness. However, thinking about it carefully, since Yi Qinghan had received it, then as a substitute for the celestials, the arbiter should have also received it. Just because Yi Qinghan did not see the ending did not mean that the arbiter did not see it. Yi, find the arbiter. He definitely saw the ending, reminded the saint of universal love. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He looked around, but there was only the boundless sea. Where could he find the arbiter? This was a difficult problem, a very difficult problem. Sigh, let's see how it goes. Let's find a way out first. If this eternal world is a star, then we can find the western continent. But if it's a flat surface, then by the time we reach the solitary nothingness, there will be deathly aura everywhere. Aside from the great sage, no one will be able to survive there, said Yi Qinghan with a sigh. The saint of universal love was also helpless. Right now, she could not help Yi Qinghan in the slightest. In front of Yi Qinghan, she was like a little girl being taken care of. The distant sea was filled with boundless fog. Immortal light and rainbow stretched across thousands of miles. It was a grand and majestic sight. The water-type holy beast sped along. After running for roughly half a year, it had once again pulled the sinful souls away. At this moment, the sinful souls had caught up to the sea and land. They raised their heads and roared at the sky. The great sage's body shattered the ground with a palm strike. Their eyes were red. After chasing Yi Qinghan for so many years, they had not caught up to him at all. Instead, they had exhausted themselves and their strength had decreased greatly. Damned ant! Just how good are you at running? For the first time, the sinful souls felt helpless. They landed on a mountain, exhausted and powerless. Even the great sage could not withstand such a long chase. They were truly on the verge of collapse. In the outside world, the baleful aura had dissipated. Some vitality had been restored. The adjudicator had been running for his life. He had been running around randomly. Now, he could only wait for Yi Qinghan to appear. This was because he and Yi Qinghan were the key points. Now that either of them had died, there would be no solution in the future. The outside world had recovered some vitality. There were more plants and thorns, but it was empty and devoid of life. There were only a few small regions. There were still some people in the corners, but they were all living in fear. At this moment, the immortal peach tree had led the saints of the insane sect and the green lotus sword immortal to the desolate land. They had nowhere else to go. From now on, I can only open up a new path of survival. This will take a long time. In order to prevent the outside world from losing its foundation, I have decided to open up a new small region in the depths of the desolate land to avoid the sinful soul's pursuit. The immortal peach tree said sadly. Although it could see the trajectory of the world, it was confused at this moment. It could not see the light of dawn, nor could it see any signs of destruction. Even the sinful souls had disappeared. Where did Yi Qinghan lead the sinful souls to? The sinful souls have not appeared for more than 100 years. Logically speaking, this should not be the case. Bailey Chenxiang's face was full of curiosity. She was the fairy of 100 flowers and could connect to any place with flowers. Therefore, she knew that the sinful souls were not on the continent of the outside world. The green lotus sword immortal touched the corner of his mouth and said curiously, "I also want to know." Chapter 2187. In the desolate land of the great world, the immortal peach tree was able to take root in the desolate land, surrounded by immortal light. It could also shield the desolate death chi, allowing the saints of the insane sect to be in a safe area. They stood on the branches of the immortal peach tree, allowing the immortal peach tree to take them all the way to the depths of the desolate land. Wherever the immortal peach tree passed, it was immediately submerged by the desolate death chi, leaving no trace behind. The immortal peach tree kept moving forward for about 3 months before it finally slowed down. It began to take root in the depths of the desolate land, opening up a small area. Even if someone knew that there was a small area with vitality here, it would be impossible to find it without a guide. Even if the great saints were lost in the desolate land, with the passage of time and the depletion of their saint chi, only death would await them. This was the last continuation of the great world. If the insane sect died, then the others would have no chance of surviving. At this moment, the 4 great saints were in pairs, all looking for Yi Qinghan because the immortal technique in Yi Qinghan's hands was the last hope of survival. They had already chased into the depths of the sea, but now they could not tell the direction. No one knew where Yi Qinghan's real location was. The great saints and sinful souls searched the sea for Yi Qinghan, but he took the universal love saint and rode the water-type sacred beast to roam the sea. Their speed was extremely fast. After another half a year, they entered the second land above the sea. It was a forest island full of vitality, full of wood elements. The island was not small, and there were intelligent life and powerful Saint Auras. Moreover, it was water-type Saint Auras. Yi Qinghan was wild with joy. Now he had collected the high-grade fire mantis inner core. Now he had a water-type sacred beast, and now he had a water-type sacred beast. As long as he found the water-type and earth-type sacred beast, he would have collected all 5 types of sacred beast inner cores. At that time, he did not know what kind of changes would occur to him. Could it be that the great world's consciousness was reminding me to look for the sacred beast inner cores in the sea? Yi Qinghan touched the corner of his mouth, pretending to be serious. The universal love saint smiled charmingly and said, "Perhaps a saint-rank metal-type saint beast. As far as I know, the golden thunder rock lives in the depths of the ocean. It can fly up to 90,000 miles and is very fast. If you can catch it, you will have gathered all 5 Saint Beast cores. Yi Qinghan looked at the water-type sea beast under his feet and felt a little reluctant. It was definitely an expert when it came to traveling in the sea, so he muttered to himself, "Sigh, I'm really willing to not kill it and take its inner core." The universal love saint glared at him and said, "Are you sure that the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage is your master? Didn't he teach you common sense? Who said that you have to kill Saint Beasts to get their inner cores? As long as you sign a contract with them, the 5 elemental inner cores will naturally be yours. Your fire centipede inner core is definitely not qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as the sacred beast inner core, but you yourself are of the fire elemental origin, which is enough to bridge the gap between them. This way, you will be able to maintain the balance of the 5 elements, and your golden body of the utmost saint can evolve into the body of the supreme saint. In addition to your own tempering and the blessings of the heavens, you will be the first person to ascend to the sainthood with your soul. Then, you will become the first person to ascend to the sainthood with your physical body." Yi Qinghan shrugged. His cultivation was all unorthodox, and he slowly and painstakingly comprehended it. Many of his methods were not orthodox. As for common sense, he might not even be as good as a proper world lord. The two chatted as they approached the island. The aura of life around them became thicker and thicker, and the saint rank wood element was emitted, causing the plants on the island to be especially large. Ancient trees that were hundreds of feet thick could be seen everywhere. Some towered into the sky, and their roots had already extended for miles. In the center of the island, a verdant and lush green willow swayed in the wind. The willow leaves swayed, and the willow branches were as soft as a woman's waist. It occasionally emitted an enchanting aura. From afar, it looked like a woman was swaying in the wind, twisting her waist like a fairy. However, upon closer inspection, it was still a green willow, and not a peerless beauty. Majestic wood element shrouded it, and it rippled in all directions. It quickly came into contact with Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint, who had just stepped onto the island. It could feel the saint aura from Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint. It was definitely not something a newly ascended saint like the green willow could contend against. It immediately panicked and quickly transformed into a human, preparing to escape from the island. Whoosh whoosh! The green willow transformed into a beauty, wearing a green dress. In the blink of an eye, it stepped into the void. However, before it could leave the island, a huge hand appeared in the sky and directly swept over its head, forcefully suppressing it to the ground. Boom! The island trembled as the saint power hand pressed the green willow to the ground. No matter how much she struggled, she could not escape from Yi Qinghan's palm. "I have no enmity with you." The green willow looked at Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint with a face full of fear. Although she was a saint, she had never seen other saints, let alone someone as powerful as Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint. Even saints could not escape from their palms. Yi Qinghan looked at the pitiful green willow and shook his head. "I have no enmity with you, so there's no need to be afraid. I'm just cooperating with you. In the future, I'll protect you, and you'll be responsible for maintaining the balance of the 5 elements in my body. Of course, this is only needed in battle. When not in battle, you can move freely." Although the green willow was confused, she asked, "Can I refuse? After all, we don't know each other." Yi Qinghan shrugged and smiled. "You can't refuse. Even if we didn't know each other before, let me introduce myself. I'm Yi Qinghan, and this is my wife, Charity Saint. From now on, I'll call you Green Willow. Now we know each other." Charity Saint and Green Willow were speechless. What kind of knowing each other was this? This was a trick to pick up girls. However, the domineering Yi Qinghan did not care what the Green Willow thought. As long as it was beneficial to him, she could not run away. After all, this was a critical period, and he had to use whatever power he could. Therefore, Yi Qinghan forcibly suppressed Green Willow and forced her to sign a contract. He placed her mark on his chest to maintain his vitality and the balance of the 5 elements. The mark of the water saint level sea beast was on his left arm, and the holy dragon was on his forehead to protect his soul. The fire element Niden had been refined to protect his dantian, and the fire element origin corresponded with the Niden. Now that the 5 elements had become 3, as long as he found the golden thunder rock and the earth spirit, his physical body would become a supreme saint. At that time, it would be much easier to cultivate the 3rd finger of the Saint Destroyer finger and the 6th move of the star-picking hand. Just as Yi Qinghan was about to leave, the holy dragon suddenly left his body and roared in the middle of the sea, raising a huge dragon. Roar! Roared out. Another dragon roar came in response, filled with a domineering aura, as if it was even stronger than the holy dragon. Yi Qinghan was also shocked and quickly looked to the east. A scorching sun appeared at the end of the sky, and above the clouds was a dragon with golden wings. It was tens of thousands of meters long, and its dragon aura was many times stronger than the holy dragon in his body. Most importantly, it was not only emitting dragon aura, but also the aura of the Emperor of Birds. The legendary Golden Thunder Rock. Heavens! It really exists in this world. It's a mutated dragon rock born of the Golden Thunder Rock and the Holy Dragon. It has the advantages of a dragon, but also the bloodline of the Golden Thunder Rock. It almost transcends nature and is not within the 5 elements. Charity Saint covered her mouth and exclaimed. Yi Qinghan could not see the joy in Charity Saint's eyes, only her shock and fear. Chapter 2188. The Universal Love Saint was a powerful saint. Even if she met a great saint, she would only be respectful and not afraid. However, when she saw the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock, she was afraid. Let's go quickly. This Golden Thunder Dragon Rock has inherited all the advantages of the Thunder Rock and the Holy Dragon. It's a transcendent existence. The Universal Love Saint pulled Yi Qinghan and was about to leave. Yi Qinghan did not move. He narrowed his eyes and stared at the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock that was speeding over from afar. He then looked at his sacred pet, the Holy Dragon. At this moment, it was trembling and roaring in response to the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock. I didn't expect a hybrid to be even more terrifying than a purebred. Yi Qinghan's aura was being released. It was getting stronger and stronger. His body was filled with immortal light. Light radiated in all directions. He wanted to subdue the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock. The Universal Love Saint asked in shock, "What? You want to fight it?" Yi Qinghan nodded seriously. He clenched his fist and took a deep breath. The Yin-Yang Bagua Taoist robe appeared. Under the stimulation of the immortal spiritual energy, the Taoist robe actually changed. Divine light flowed. His hands formed a seal, wanting to pluck the stars. The Golden Thunder Dragon Rock grew bigger and bigger. Its wings covered the sky. Its wings were emitting mysterious runes that shone with golden light. Its might was overwhelming. With the head of a rock and the body of a dragon, with the wings of a golden rock, it could soar up to 90,000 miles. Its speed was extraordinary, reaching another level. Whoosh! Roar! The Golden Thunder Dragon Rock sped over from afar. Its body coiled up. A whirlpool was stirred up in the sea. In the center of the whirlpool stood Yi Qinghan and the Universal Love Saint. The Holy Dragon was already extremely afraid. It directly landed on the sea and submitted to the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock. The Holy Dragon was still too young. It had only been 1,000 years since it hatched. It had only been using Yi Qinghan's bloodline to rapidly evolve. Its actual age was at most equivalent to a 5- or 6-year-old human child. Its fear came from its bones. Yi Qinghan exhaled a turbid breath as immortal spiritual energy gathered in his palm. The 6th style of the star-plucking hand was about to erupt at any moment. However, he was also very cautious because this Golden Thunder Draconic Rock was truly too powerful. It was so powerful that even if he and the Charity Saint worked together, they might not be able to defeat it. Its strength was already infinitely close to the Great Saint realm. As long as time allowed, it would become the most powerful Great Saint. Its cultivation was comparable to the sinful soul, and its physical body was definitely stronger than the sinful soul. Jin Lei Longpeng looked down at Yi Qinghan and the little Sheng Longpeng. His eyes were like the scorching sun, shining with golden light and captivating people's souls. Is the saintly heavenly dragon your senior? Golden lightning dragon Rock stared at the little saintly dragon and asked coldly. The saintly heavenly dragon was the mount of the great Saint Bailey Longxian, and the little saintly dragon was her direct descendant. Who would have thought that Jin Lei Longpeng would know the saintly heavenly dragon? The little saintly dragon whispered in fear. I am her child. What? Her child? Where is the saintly heavenly dragon? Not only did she become a human's mount, she also wanted to give her child to a human as a mount. How preposterous! Boom! Whoosh! Jin Lei Longpeng was enraged. Monstrous waves swept across the sky as its 5 golden claws grabbed the little saintly dragon. The little saintly dragon was not small, but it was as weak as a baby in front of Jin Lei Longpeng. Tell me, where is the saintly heavenly dragon? Jin Lei Longpeng roared. The little saintly dragon did not know the whereabouts of the saintly heavenly dragon. During the battle of the coiling dragon realm, Bailey Longxian was suppressed, and the saintly heavenly dragon was captured. Its dragon body was missing, and its whereabouts were unknown to this day. However, Yi Qinghan knew that the saintly dragon robe that Xia Jiulong was wearing had a dragon soul. In fact, that dragon soul was the soul of the saintly heavenly dragon that had been refined by the saintly lord, and was directly suppressed in the saintly dragon robe to protect the robe. Later on, the dragon robe was cut open, and the dragon soul inside naturally died. This meant that the saintly heavenly dragon was dead. She is dead, Yi Qinghan whispered. Boom! Jin Lei Longpeng swung its tail, creating a huge wave. The huge tail smashed into Yi Qinghan. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's fist collided with the tail, and his other hand grabbed Charity Saint. His figure rapidly retreated like a meteor, and in the blink of an eye, he was blasted tens of thousands of miles away. Crack, crack, crack. Yi Qinghan felt a tearing pain in his hand. He didn't expect the saintly golden body to be so weak in front of Jin Lei Longpeng. Roar! And how dare you speak nonsense in front of this emperor? You are courting death. Jin Lei Longpeng spread his wings and appeared in front of Yi Qinghan. He was so fast that he didn't give Yi Qinghan a chance to react. Hiss! Yi Qinghan sucked in a cold breath. He didn't expect Jin Lei Longpeng to be so strong, especially his speed. It was even more terrifying than the evil souls. High Sage Longpeng, if the saintly heavenly dragon you speak of is the saintly heavenly dragon's mother, then I am certain that she has fallen. Bailey Longxian is also considered dead now. You can choose not to believe me, but if you go to the outside world and check, you will find that this is not a secret. Yi Qinghan kept retreating. He was extremely cautious as he unleashed the second style of Saint Exterminating Finger. One finger pierced the sky, and it could destroy mountains and rivers, piercing through the boundless sea. The golden thunder dragon Rock was enraged. The metal element transformed into the sharpest divine weapon. Thunder roared and lightning flashed. The purple lightning was comparable to a saint weapon. The Rock's golden eyes were even more dazzling than the sun. He looked down at Yi Qinghan and roared, "Brat! No one in the outside world can kill a saintly. They don't have the ability, let alone Bailey Longxian. Even I couldn't defeat him, so how could he be killed? You dare to lie to this saintly emperor? I will make sure you die without a burial ground." Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. He stood in front of Charity Saint and said with a serious expression, "Wait, I can prove it to you." "How can you prove it? Kill the saintly behind you and prove it to me." Jin Lei Longpeng roared. Yi Qinghan frowned. He was furious and said rudely, "I respect you as a high sage, but don't go overboard. She is my wife. You can't do anything to her. Otherwise, even if I have to risk my life, I will pluck off your wings and turn you into a crippled thunderpeng." Whoosh! Ka ka ka. In an instant, lightning tore through the river and the sea was drowned by rain. Jin Lei Longpeng controlled wind, rain, thunder, lightning, metal, and other elements. His eyes contained countless wills, and the void was distorted. He drew a circle on the ground and imprisoned 10,000 saints. Yi Qinghan gently pushed Charity Saint and whispered, "Back off." The Saint of Charity was powerless against this transcendent dragon rock. He could only retreat quickly, leaving a huge battlefield for Yi Qinghan to fight. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan gave up on the second style of Sacred Annihilation Finger because it couldn't hurt Jin Lei Long Peng at all. Instead, he used the fifth style of the Star-Plucking Palm. He grabbed the sky with his empty hand, and stars flashed. In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Endless seawater was sucked up, forming a water immortal sword. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan kept waving his hand, carving immortal spell imprints and mysterious runes. The water immortal sword was full of murderous intent, containing the power to kill a saintly. It was pointed at Jin Lei Long Peng. Fifth style, water sword, immortal spell blessing, seizing the saintly soul from 10,000 miles. Chapter 2189. Unsheath the immortal sword. Yi Qinghan clasped his palms together and rode the sword out to sea. The immortal sword destroyed everything in its path and created huge waves. In the blink of an eye, the water sword created a wave of flames. The sky rumbled and the sea roared. Boom! Yi Qinghan became one with the sword. His soul surged and the immortal talisman bloomed. Whoosh! The golden lightning dragon rock waved its claws and slapped the water immortal sword. The two peerless saints clashed. In a split second, the sky collapsed and the sea split apart. A water curtain rose into the sky. The water immortal sword broke through the water curtain and clashed with the dragon rock's claws. Roar! Boom! After the immortal sword clashed with the dragon rock's claws, the tip of the sword was crushed. The terrifying impact pushed the golden thunder dragon rock back, but the immortal sword kept crumbling. The immortal talisman couldn't protect the immortal sword, but it did cause some damage to the golden thunder dragon rock. It screamed in pain. The roar of the dragon rock almost shattered Yi Qinghan's eardrums. Boom! The immortal swords were all shattered. Yi Qinghan's fingertips turned into sharp swords and collided with the dragon claws. His body was filled with immortal patterns and the profoundness of talisman techniques. Golden light shone as his aura soared into the sky. Boom! Roared the dragon's claw was almost broken, and the enormous dragon's body and rock's head involuntarily fell backwards. However, it had more than one claw. The other claw viciously smashed towards Yi Qinghan's body. Bang! In the blink of an eye, the other claw slammed into Yi Qinghan's body. Immortal runes were unleashed to protect his golden body, but he couldn't block the attack. His body flew thousands of miles away like a kite with a broken string. Puffed! Yi Qinghan was hit by the dragon rock's claw. Blood and tears flowed from Yi Qinghan's eyes. His body fell into the depths of the sea. Whoosh! Even though Yi Qinghan fell into the water, he was still pushed back thousands of miles. Only then did he regain his composure and rush out of the sea. He saw the golden thunder dragon rock spread its wings and shook the sea. It charged at him again. He clasped his palms together and his soul mobilized the sea. 10,000 swords out of the sea, Sword Tao returns to the origin. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Yi Qinghan constantly brandished the sea as countless water swords flew through the air. Their target was the dragon rock's corporeal body. The water swords rained down on the dragon rock's body, causing sparks to fly. However, they did not cause any damage to it. Roar! Dragon rock roared angrily as it spewed out a mouthful of lightning flames. Wherever the lightning passed, all the water swords were reduced to nothingness. The strength of the water swords was clearly inferior to Yi Qinghan's first strike. They were scattered too much, but it still blocked Dragon Rock's advance. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Yi Qinghan breathed out a few mouthfuls of anger as he adjusted his surging blood and qi. His face was deathly pale. He didn't expect the golden thunder dragon rock to be so strong. Ant-like existence. The saints of the great world were only so. How could they kill saints? How did my wife fall? Could it be that Bailey Longxian can't protect her? The golden thunder dragon rock roared, continuously closing in on Yi Qinghan, wanting to obtain an accurate answer. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He didn't expect the saintly dragon to be this guy's wife. Then, wouldn't the little saintly dragon be its son? Why were their bloodlines different? But there was no time for him to think, because the golden thunder dragon rock had already arrived in front of him. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Boom boom boom. Yi Qinghan condensed the second finger of the sacred finger of annihilation. His entire body emitted a holy light as he used one finger to destroy mountains and rivers. His fingertip pressed towards the golden thunder dragon rock's head. Whoosh! The sacred finger descended from the sky, causing the sea to sink and surge in all directions. Scram! The golden thunder dragon rock swung its giant tail, creating a huge wave that smashed fiercely towards the sacred finger of annihilation. One represented the sky, and the other represented the sea. Both were endless. The power they generated and the power they exploded with was a visual impact that would make a saint's hair stand on end. Standing in the distance, Universal Love Saint understood at this moment that whether it was Yi Qinghan or the golden thunder dragon rock, neither was someone she could contend against. She didn't even have the courage to fight. The difference in strength was too great. Bang! The sacred finger of annihilation turned into rotten wood under this tail swing, unable to withstand a single blow. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan was sent flying again. Whether it was the sacred finger of annihilation or the space-piercing star-plucking palm, they posed no threat to the golden thunder dragon rock. This guy's strength was already in the great saint realm. Powerless, Yi Qinghan retreated hundreds of miles, looking at the golden thunder dragon rock in the distance. He felt powerless. Against the evil soul, he could rely on his speed to escape, and with the help of the sacred pet and universal love saint, he could at least shake off the evil soul. However, the golden thunder dragon rock's speed and strength were inferior, and his immortal techniques couldn't affect it. It was a complete defeat. Hold on. High Sage Dragon Rock, please calm down first. I'm not lying to you. I didn't kill the saintly dragon. Even if you want to take revenge, you can't find me. We can join forces and take revenge together. After all, the enemy is too strong. Yi Qinghan didn't want to fight anymore. Since he couldn't win, he decided to scare the golden lightning draconic rock first. Who killed the saintly dragon and the Bailey Longxian? The golden thunder dragon rock flapped its wings and appeared in front of Yi Qinghan. It looked down on him like he was looking down on an ant, its eyes full of disdain. Yi Qinghan's Taoist robe and black hair were blown back by the wind. His facial muscles were trembling, and he couldn't help retreating a few hundred steps. Yi Qinghan shrugged and explained, it was the Holy Empire's Holy Lord, Xia Zhaoyang, and the 9 disciples of the Holy Empire. There might be other great sages helping as well. In any case, they suppressed the Bailey Longxian. The Holy Lord refined the saintly dragon's soul and placed it in the Holy Dragon Robe. Now, the Holy Dragon Robe is broken, and the saintly dragon robe has already fallen. As for the Bailey Longxian's body, Xia Zhaoyang placed it in the purgatory space of his son's grave. Countless creatures were buried there along with him, producing endless resentment and baleful aura. It formed an evil soul, and that evil soul took over the Bailey Longxian. Now, even 4 great sages working together can't defeat it. Evil soul. How many creatures were buried with him? The golden thunder dragon rock coldly looked at Yi Qinghan and asked in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan thought back to the purgatory space he saw that day, and his eyebrows jumped. He replied, I presume you also know about the Daluo star realm. Most of the creatures there were buried with him, and there was even a small realm where no one managed to escape. So, the resentment and baleful aura there is not something a mortal can contend with. So, as for revenge, can we take our time? Yi Qinghan really didn't want to go back and face the evil soul. It wasn't fast, but its strength and baleful aura were enough to affect the souls of sages and even great sages. If they fought for a long time, the great sages would be defeated sooner or later. The golden thunder dragon rock let out a breath, causing the sea to tremble. Its dignified eyes blossomed with a dazzling light. The people of the great world have also been devoured by the evil soul? The golden thunder dragon rock turned solemn. Its speed and strength were absolutely unparalleled, but it knew that it was no match for a soul formed from the resentment and baleful aura of countless people, as well as the body of a great sage. It would be fine if it wasn't injured, but once it was, the evil soul's resentment would naturally invade its body. When that happened, everything would be over. Yi Qinghan sighed and said, "It's about time. Hell's order has been destroyed. Now, the great world is on the brink of destruction. So, I lured that bastard into the sea. I believe he will be here soon." At this moment, the sea churned as countless beasts emerged from the sea. They were all dead without any signs of life. Their corpses were black, clearly having been poisoned to death. Their life auras had been plundered. The golden thunder dragon rock, Yi Qinghan, and the charity saint instantly charged into the void, not daring to approach the sea surface. The seawater was constantly turning black, and it was spreading rapidly. "Damn, has this evil soul adapted to the sea?" Yi Qinghan said in alarm. The golden thunder dragon rock's consciousness was extremely powerful, and it instantly sensed the evil soul. At this moment, the evil soul's speed was much faster than before. Chapter 2190. Yi Qinghan was also shocked. He didn't expect an evil soul to be able to self-evolve. Could it be that his evil soul could also cultivate and evolve like an ordinary person? Whoosh! The golden thunder dragon rock took the little holy dragon and left first. It had no intention of fighting the evil soul. The golden thunder dragon rock was extremely fast. By the time Yi Qinghan reacted, it had already disappeared without a trace. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and took the universal love saint with him. He followed the golden thunder dragon rock's trail. After all, the little holy dragon was still in his hands. Only God knew if the little holy dragon was the golden thunder dragon rock's son. Whoosh! With the green lotus fairy steps seizing the heavens and shadowless unhindered, Yi Qinghan didn't care about the huge consumption. He turned into a flash of lightning and chased after it. But even so, he couldn't catch up to the golden thunder dragon rock. The distance between them was getting bigger and bigger. The golden thunder dragon rock's speed was its biggest advantage. Next was its experience. It inherited the advantages of the thunder rock and the holy dragon. Even if it wasn't a great saint, its strength and speed were more terrifying than a great saint. A layer of defensive barrier appeared around Yi Qinghan and the universal love saint. Flames spread, and even the void was burned until it was distorted. The God-Devourer eagle armor, and Yi Qinghan's wings supported him. He sped up again. His immortal power was being consumed at a speed visible to the naked eye. This was his peak speed. He definitely wouldn't be able to last 3 days. The universal love saint held Yi Qinghan's large hand and continuously transferred the holy power in his body into Yi Qinghan's body. But Yi Qinghan's body was like a black hole. The peak power of a saint was completely devoured by him in just 1 day. The golden thunder dragon rock ran wildly for more than 10 days, leaving Yi Qinghan behind without a trace. Yi Qinghan chased after the golden lightning dragon rock on the vast sea. Fortunately, he had the power of the contract with the little holy dragon. Even if the distance was too far, he could still feel the invisible power. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. A huge continent appeared in front of them. It was much bigger than the previous continents combined. The draconic aura was dense and there were many strange beasts of all shapes and sizes. There were even a few legendary golden-winged rocks. Moreover, their bloodlines were very pure. Adult rocks were all at the saint realm. As for the holy dragons, there were many different races. Their powers and levels were different. The purer the bloodline, the higher the status. Some of the very low-level bloodlines were like ordinary beasts. Their cultivation was not even at the overlord realm. A rainbow stretched across, and the multicolored light screen seemed to be the dividing line of the world. The sea and land emitted an ancient and vicissitude aura, as if they had existed since ancient times. As soon as Yi Qinghan entered the multicolored light screen, it was as if he had really entered a different world. The spiritual energy here was very strange. It was completely different from the aura of the great world and the sea. The aura here was purer and closer to the aura of immortals. The sea and land were filled with mountain ranges. Waterfalls fell from the sky, and rainbows were everywhere. Everything was still in the era of desolation, but there were many intelligent creatures. They were all holy beasts and rarely destroyed the ecology here. It was indescribably beautiful. Well, is this a paradise? The universal love saint stood high in the sky and looked down at the vast sea and land, shouting excitedly. Yi Qinghan was also stunned by the beauty of this place. Hundreds of flowers bloomed, and there were some fairies in human form. The men were handsome, and the women could already be described as fairies. They were flawless. These were the fairies that had never appeared in the world. They represented nature. There was also a group of earth fairies. They disguised themselves as stones and were very small. They could fly in the sky and burrow into the ground. Almost no one could do anything to them, especially on land. There were countless races living in this vast sea and land, but there were no humans. Even though they were of different races, the atmosphere was very harmonious. There was almost no fighting. However, the most respected race was still the Holy Dragon race. They had the most numbers, but everyone could get along peacefully. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan quickly landed on the sea and land. The surface of his body began to automatically absorb the energy here, transforming it into immortal energy that he could use. It was very simple. The energy here was clearly of a higher level than the great world. Well, look, there are two strange fairies here. They don't even have horns on their heads. A mischievous little girl with a few beautiful children pointed at Yi Qinghan and the universal love saint. Yi Qinghan looked at these little ones. They were at most half a meter tall, and they actually had beautiful little horns on their heads that could absorb the energy of nature. The strange energy of heaven and earth actually automatically rushed into the children's bodies from the little horns. These children were all naturally beautiful. They were as beautiful as demonic flowers. There was no greed or desire in their pure eyes. They were very close to nature. Are they fairies? Yi Qinghan was very curious. When he heard the little girl's exclamation and saw the little horns on their bodies, he guessed their identity. Yi Qinghan and the universal love saint looked very similar to the fairies. After all, they were too devilish. They just lacked the unique aura of the fairies and that little horn. Oh, what a cute child! At this moment, even the universal love saint, who was not good with words and did not like to smile, reached out to hug the little fairy girl with a tender expression. The little fairy girl was not the least bit on guard. There was almost no war in this sea and land. When the universal love saint hugged the little girl, he discovered that she had a pair of almost transparent wings on her back. They were very fragile, probably because she was not an adult yet. Big Sister Fairy, where are your horns? I've heard from my clansmen that only elves who were abandoned by the elven god shrine don't grow horns. Big Sister is so beautiful and kind. How could you be abandoned by the elven god shrine? The little elf girl's big eyes looked around and asked curiously. The universal love saint was at a loss for words. He did not know how to explain this sentence. Yi Qinghan smiled and came in front of this group of fairies. There were both males and females, but he really could not tell which one was a boy and which one was a girl. They all looked very delicate. Because Big Sister is a fairy temple, you don't have horns. Yi Qinghan came in front of the universal love saint and said. The universal love saint rolled her eyes at Yi Qinghan and patted the little fairy's head. She said softly, because we are not fairies. Don't listen to little brother's nonsense. I'm not a fairy temple. Human race? What race is that? The little fairies gathered in a circle and chattered non-stop. This time, it was Yi Qinghan's turn to roll his eyes. He could not immediately explain what race the human race was. Moreover, what was there to explain to a group of little fairies? Go back and ask your parents. We can go back together. If any of you know where the sacred dragon tribe's territory is, Big Brother will reward you. Yi Qinghan raised a blue demonic lotus in his hand. Because this item was useless to him, he wanted to give it to this group of children. The demonic lotus blossomed with blue light and was incomparably bewitching. The little fairies were very fond of it. They immediately beamed with joy and sold out the sacred dragon tribe's territory. The little girl in the lead even personally brought the two over. Chapter 2191. The fairy skipped along the way, occasionally flapping her wings, but she couldn't fly. The song she hummed was very pleasant to the ears. Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint enjoyed themselves along the way. They followed the fairy's lead and listened to the fairy's stories of the sacred dragon clan. It turned out that the most revered existence here wasn't the sacred dragon clan or the golden-winged rock, but the golden thunder dragon rock. The golden thunder dragon rock's origins were the superposition of the sacred dragon clan and the golden-winged rock. It also had the addition of the thunder origin. Its strength was also the strongest. Be it a purebred sacred dragon or a purebred golden-winged rock, they couldn't compete with it. The Dragon Rock Palace was the strongest faction in this land and sea. It represented the peak of the land and sea's power. The Dragon Rock Palace was responsible for guarding this land and sea. As long as the Dragon Rock Palace didn't fall, no matter if it was the ferocious creatures deep in the sea or the native experts on the land and sea, they wouldn't dare to disturb the order here. This land and sea was very large, so large that it was comparable to the entire Oshi Holy Land. Finally, the fairy girl brought Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint to the Dragon Clan's territory and said, "Big brother, big sister, the Dragon Clan's territory is up ahead. There are many ferocious mutated dragons. If you don't invade their territory, they generally won't attack you. Once you invade their territory, even if you are killed, according to the rules of the Dragon Rock Holy Law, there won't be any responsibility." Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded. He gave the blue lotus demonic flower to the fairy. The blue lotus demonic flower wasn't bad and was even very pure. It cherished the fairy very much, so it didn't resist at all. Instead, it felt that leaving Yi Qinghan was a form of relief. This was because Yi Qinghan was too evil, even if he had some principles and bottom lines. The fairy took the blue lotus demonic flower away. Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint worked together and sped towards the center of the Dragon Clan's territory. The Dragon Rock Palace was in the center of the Dragon Clan's territory, and to the east of the Dragon Rock Palace was the Golden-Winged Rock's territory. The two sacred beasts of the two races got along very well because of the Dragon Rock. The Sacred Dragon Clan and the Golden-Winged Rock were very cautious about reproduction. No matter what, they had two pairs of purebred golden-winged Sacred Rock and Sacred Dragon Clan. In the square of the Dragon Rock Palace, the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock transformed into an adult man. He was incomparably dignified. He wore a golden battle robe with a golden-winged rock embroidered on the left and a holy dragon embroidered on the right. The Dragon Rock danced in the air with a monstrous aura. He looked down at the little holy dragon in front of him and said coldly, "Transform into a human form." The entire Dragon Rock Palace was based on the human palaces. There was no other way, they were too big. Only the young Golden Thunder Rock, the Holy Dragon, and the Golden Winged Rock would maintain their original forms. At other times, they would maintain their human forms. Unless the battle started, their true forms would be much stronger than their human forms. The little divine dragon was extremely scared. It didn't know why, but when it saw the golden lightning dragon rock in front of it, it felt fear coming from its bones and soul. The little holy dragon twisted its body and transformed into a human form. It appeared to be 7 or 8 years old at most. It looked at the burly man in front of it with a terrified expression, and its entire body trembled. To be so cowardly and afraid of trouble, what a scandal! You have the bloodline of the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock. The Golden Thunder Dragon Rock scolded angrily. The little divine dragon's pupils constricted as it shook its head repeatedly. "My lord, I have a pure divine dragon bloodline." "Bullshit, your mother. You are my son. Do you think I don't know? Back then, I didn't know that your mother was pregnant, so I allowed her to do whatever she wanted and chose to submit to a human great sage. If I had known that she was pregnant, the one who killed Bailey Longxian wouldn't have been Xia Zheng, but me." The Golden-Winged Thunder Rock roared. "The reason you didn't know that you have the bloodline of the Golden Thunder Rock is that every Golden-Winged Thunder Rock will have its origin activated by the previous generation's Dragon Rock when it is young. Without my origin blood as the key, you can only be a pure divine dragon for the rest of your life. Do you understand now?" The little divine dragon looked at the burly man in horror and whispered, "You are my father?" The Golden-Winged Thunder Rock snorted. "In the entire great world, Other than your mother who is a divine dragon, where else can there be a saint-level divine dragon? To be able to give birth to a little thing like you, without me, how could she have given birth to you? The little divine dragon was startled at first. No wonder it was so scared when it saw this burly man. However, after the fear, it was overjoyed. It then hurriedly begged, "Father, since you are my father, please come with me to find Xia Zheong for revenge. I want to take revenge for my mother." The golden-winged thunder rock obviously still didn't believe that a human had the strength to kill an eternal saint. He deeply loved the divine dragon. At this moment, he took a deep breath and growled, "Are you sure your mother is really dead?" A trace of doubt appeared in the little divine dragon's eyes, but it quickly replied firmly, "Boss Yi said that Xia Zheong killed her, so it must be true. He wouldn't lie to me." "Idiot! How can you believe a human's words?" the golden-winged thunder rock reprimanded. "But no matter whether he is telling the truth or not, I have to go to the outside world. Bailey Longxian's soul must still be alive. If I find Bailey Longxian's soul, I will naturally find the whereabouts of my beloved wife." With that, the golden-winged thunder rock waved his hand and grabbed the little boy that the little divine dragon had transformed into. A drop of golden divine blood gushed out from his forehead. He took it with his other finger and pressed it directly on the little divine dragon's head. The two of them exuded a different kind of pressure. Immortal light shot out in all directions. The dragon's might and the rock's might intertwined. After a long time, the little divine dragon slowly woke up. It felt that there was an extra bloodline in its body. There were many inheritances in its sea of consciousness. It had received the inheritance of the golden-winged thunder rock's lineage. Enter the Dragon Rock Palace to receive more inheritances. Don't think about leaving during this time. Slowly comprehend them. As long as you cultivate to my level, the world is yours to roam. The golden-winged thunder rock was serious. Even if it was the first time he saw his child after so many years, his face was expressionless and cold. The little divine dragon did not dare to disobey the golden-winged thunder rock's order. It could only quickly enter the Dragon Rock Palace. Several days later, Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint arrived late. They were careful and low-key along the way. They did not cause any trouble. Moreover, there were not many dragons that had reached the Saint Realm. At most, there were 7 or 8 dragons. The rest were either in their infancy or growing period. Although they were powerful, the heavens were fair. If they wanted to evolve to the Saint Realm, they would need an unimaginable amount of time. The golden-winged thunder rock stood at the highest point of the Dragon Rock Palace and looked down at the land. Naturally, he noticed Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint. A murderous look flashed in his eyes. He clenched his iron fist and said coldly, "I wanted to spare your lives. Who would have thought that you would deliver yourselves to me?" Whoosh! Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint's figures flashed. Even with the divine dragon and golden-winged rock guarding the surroundings, they did not notice the two's aura. They were allowed to approach the Dragon Rock Palace. The golden-winged thunder rock's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He quietly waited for Yi Qinghan and Charity Saint to arrive. Back then, if my beloved wife had not been subdued by Bailey Longxian, how could her fate be unknown and her corpse not be found? Now, my son will not repeat the same mistake. Therefore, the two of you will die today. The golden-winged thunder rock said indifferently. Chapter 2192. The golden thunder dragon rock had already revealed his killing intent and was waiting for Yi Qinghan to arrive at the square of the Dragon Rock Palace. This place could withstand Yi Qinghan's attacks, and the sacred dragon and golden-winged rock's defenses were also present. Yi Qinghan did not know that the golden thunder rock had already decided to kill him. He brought the Charity Saint into the Dragon Rock Palace and arrived at the square in the blink of an eye. Yi Qinghan of the human race is here to pay a visit to High Sage Dragon Rock. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes as he scanned the surroundings. The faint killing intent attracted his attention, and the immortal spiritual force in his body was already burning. Divine radiance circulated through his limbs as he prepared for a counterattack. The Charity Saint's pure soul was especially sensitive to such killing intent. There was no need for Yi Qinghan to remind her. She was already standing back to back with Yi Qinghan, guarding his back. Whoosh! Whoosh! The golden thunder rock did not reveal his true body and appeared in front of Yi Qinghan in his human form. He was even taller than Yi Qinghan, and his wings were tucked behind his back. His golden battle robe emitted a terrifying aura. An ordinary saint would not be able to penetrate his defense, let alone injure him. Human, you really do not fear death. I originally did not want to kill you, but since you delivered yourself to my doorstep, don't blame me for being impolite. The golden thunder rock coldly snorted. His killing intent surged, and with a flip of his hand, golden lightning condensed into form. It was even more terrifying than a sacred weapon. Yi Qinghan frowned and formed a seal with his fingertips. The fifth style of the star-plucking hand was about to erupt. However, he did not attack. Instead, he reminded in a deep voice, "High Sage, that evil soul can attack at any time. You definitely have the chance to kill me, but you should know that my trump cards are not limited to this. Why let us both suffer and let the evil soul take advantage of us? Besides, your enemy is Xia Zhaoyang and so am I. Why can't we fight together? Eliminate the enemy and return peace to the great world? I don't need you. I'm not even comparable to that evil soul. It's the same with or without you. Prepare to die." The golden-winged thunder rock controlled the lightning in its palms and condensed it into a purple immortal sword. It tore through the river with a terrifying aura that made even saints despair. "Wait!" Yi Qinghan hurriedly waved his hand to stop him. "Upper Sage, although my cultivation is a little weak, as long as I gather a saint-rank earth element sacred beast and a saint-rank metal element sacred beast, I can maintain the balance of the 5 elements. Advancing to the Great Saint Realm is just around the corner. When I'm in the Great Saint Realm, using the star-picking hand and the sacred annihilating finger won't be dispensable." The golden-winged thunder rock looked at Yi Qinghan with disdain. It did not stop condensing immortal techniques and adding them to the immortal sword. The golden-winged thunder rock's inherited laws were fully displayed on this immortal sword. Killing a saint was just a matter of time. "If you can block 3 of my moves, I'll spare your life." Whoosh! The golden-winged thunder rock gripped the purple lightning immortal sword and tore through the void, directly arriving in front of Yi Qinghan. Boom! Yi Qinghan was already on the defensive. He casually grabbed the berserk sword, which contained the power to shatter the stars. The golden body of the utmost holy took root in the ground, green veins popping out as it viciously slashed at the golden lightning. Boom! In an instant, the wind and clouds changed. The yin and yang 8 trigrams appeared, and the 9th seal of the berserk sword was shattered. The strongest attack that the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage had hidden here was enough to destroy a saint. Together with Yi Qinghan's power, it viciously clashed with the purple lightning, and the shockwaves surged into the galaxy. Thud thud thud. Yi Qinghan left a footprint with each step. Although the stone floor beneath his feet was strengthened by the golden-winged thunder rock mystic technique, it was still crushed. Vast power poured into the ground, shaking the entire Dragon Rock Palace. The shockwaves spread for tens of thousands of miles. The Holy Dragon Tribe and the Golden-Winged Rock Tribe were alarmed. The Golden Rock roared angrily, and the Holy Dragon roared. They rose into the sky, covering the sky and the sun, and appeared around the Dragon Rock Palace. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's aura surged into the sky. He clenched the berserk sword, and his eyes shone with a holy light. Celestial light flowed around his golden body, and his hair danced in the wind. The yin and yang 8 trigrams appeared, and the yin and yang 8 trigrams pattern spun behind him. He gathered all the spiritual energy in the world and strengthened his golden body of the utmost holy. "High Sage, I really want to work with you, and I have always treated your son as my brother. I have never used him. Why do you hate me so much that you need to kill me to vent your anger?" Yi Qinghan released his aura, and the light shot into the clouds as he asked in a low voice. The golden-winged thunder rock sneered coldly, and his murderous aura intensified. He said coldly, "Back then, Bailey Longxian killed my wife, and now you want to harm my son. Humans are all greedy, and it's better to kill them all. I want revenge, but not for humans. I want to kill my wife. Today you can die in peace. If you want to be a hero, go to hell. The golden-winged Thunder Rock's murderous intent was set, and he was unwilling to give Yi Qinghan any chance to escape. He attacked with a sword, and the sword beam carried the power to kill a sage. Sword chi swept out in all directions, not giving Yi Qinghan any chance to escape. Boom! The void above the continent shattered, and a black hole appeared. The sword chi was so sharp that even Charity Saint, who was hiding at the back, felt his skin being torn apart. He frowned in pain. Yi Qinghan condensed the fifth move, the sky-covering hand that crushed the stars. However, the power of heaven and earth was no longer condensed into an immortal sword, but a maniac. It was 300 meters long and as heavy as a star, with half a huge maniac on one side. The maniac soared into the sky, and the half-maniac condensed from the stars merged with the maniac true body, forming a terrifying maniac. Immortal light shrouded it, and talisman immortal arts supported it. The monstrous murderous aura shocked the sage dragon and the golden-winged rock, and they frantically fled. Whoosh! Charity Saint also fled into the distance, giving Yi Qinghan and the golden thunder dragon rock a wide battlefield. In the blink of an eye, the two of them condensed their strongest moves, and the maniac was grabbed by a pair of sky-covering hands and thick arms. Bang bang bang! Boom! Yi Qinghan's true body put his palms together and controlled the huge humanoid doppelganger. The doppelganger controlled the maniac like an immortal splitting heaven and earth, creating a new world. The ground beneath his feet cracked from the force of the battle. You forced me to do this! Yi Qinghan roared angrily, and the maniac descended from the sky. Flames covered the sky and engulfed the land, and the sea and land seemed to be on the verge of sinking from the force of the impact. The earth shook. The golden-winged rock was also shocked, and the ground beneath his feet cracked. Purple lightning bolts were supported by the laws of the immortal sword, and a sword pierced through the rainbow, carrying the lightning power of the sun and moon as it collided with the maniac. The two forces exploded in the sky, and a shockwave swept across 1,000,000 miles. The surface of the sea rippled into the distance, and the pressure of the sea shattered countless creatures. Under the sea and land, all the races lay on the ground, not daring to raise their heads to withstand the pressure. Bang! Ka-ka-ka! The maniac shell formed by the stars shattered, but the purple lightning immortal sword was also shattered. Yi Qinghan frantically retreated 300 miles. His arm was numb, and blood was flowing from his palm. His eyes were red, and his blood was surging. He felt like vomiting. Yi Qinghan stared at the golden thunder dragon rock, who had retreated dozens of steps. He wanted to say something, but there was a mouthful of blood in his chest. He wanted to spit it out, but he couldn't speak. The golden thunder dragon rock looked at Yi Qinghan in anger. He didn't expect to be repelled by an ant-like human today. Chapter 2193. The two experts stared at each other, not giving in. Jinlei Longpeng did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so powerful. He could pluck the stars with a wave of his hand and condense such a powerful immortal weapon. If Yi Qinghan's realm was not so high, he would definitely lose today. If Jinlei Longpeng wanted to kill Yi Qinghan, it wouldn't be too difficult. However, in the end, he would definitely be exhausted. If the evil spirits suddenly attacked, all the creatures on this continent would be slaughtered. Before the third move began, the air was condensed with murderous intent, especially suppressing the souls of many races. At this moment, the little Shenglong suddenly ran out. It was still the 7 or 8-year-old boy. He did not show his true body and ran to the center of the two. Yi Qinghan could not help but dissolve the second move of the sacred finger of annihilation that was about to erupt. He was not sure if the little Sheng Longpeng was the son of Jinlei Longpeng. He would not be able to bear it if the aftershock killed the little Sheng Longpeng. Jinlei Longpeng did not expect Yi Qinghan to give up resisting when he saw the little Sheng Longpeng. He could not help but snort. His figure flashed and went around the little Sheng Longpeng. He waved his hand and grabbed Yi Qinghan's neck. Boom! Jinlei Longpeng grabbed Yi Qinghan's throat and lifted him up. Yi Qinghan did not resist and said tiredly, "Hi sage, I am not your opponent. It is easy for you to kill me. I just want to know if the little Sheng Long is your son." "So what if he is? So what if he is not?" Jinlei Longpeng mocked. "If he is, I naturally won't worry about his safety. If he isn't, then he's innocent. Let him and the woman outside leave the sea and land. They won't cause you any harm. If you want my life, then take it," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Jinlei Longpeng was stunned. Yi Qinghan was not sure if the little Sheng Long was his son. After all, the little Sheng Longpeng's bloodline had not recovered. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to consider the little Sheng Longpeng's safety before his death. "Will you give up your life for him?" Jinlei Longpeng asked disdainfully. "At the very least, as long as I'm still alive, I won't let you kill them." Yi Qinghan squinted his eyes as the power in his body slowly rose. He was unable to capture the vague sixth style of the star-picking hand, otherwise, he would have been able to severely injure the Golden Thunder Dragon Rock. "Is that so?" Golden Thunder Dragon Rock asked. Whoosh! It was at this moment that Yi Qinghan was suddenly enlightened. The sixth style seemed to be separated by a layer of fog, and he couldn't grasp it. However, he had already grasped the aura. If he wanted to use the sixth style, he would need to rely on luck. Jinlei Longpeng looked at the little holy dragon with watery eyes and quickly pounced on him. He was actually not afraid of his father anymore. He hugged his long leg and bit it, crying, "Let go of boss, or else I will definitely not let you off." The golden lightning dragon rock flew into a rage. Who would have thought that the little holy dragon would abandon its father for Yi Qinghan? "If you dare to hurt him, you and I will perish together. Since I'm going to die, I won't let you off easily." Yi Qinghan's aura burst forth, and the immortal spiritual energy in his body roared, wanting to break through his body. He was actually going to self-destruct. Jinlei Longpeng immediately flung Yi Qinghan away and snorted angrily. Crazy, who would have thought that a human would go crazy for his dragon pet and actually want to self-destruct? Cough cough. Yi Qinghan coughed a few times, and the aura in his body flowed smoothly. His fingertips moved slightly, and the immortal spiritual energy enveloped his golden body. At this moment, the little holy dragon pounced forward. Yi Qinghan smoothly blocked it behind him, and looked at Jinlei Longpeng warily. Jinlei Longpeng did not know whether to be happy or worried. He did not think that his wife would leave Longpeng continent for a human, and now his son would want to kill him for a human. The only thing to be happy about was that Yi Qinghan would not let his son down. "Ha!" Jinlei Longpeng raised his head and laughed wildly, full of sorrow and helplessness. "Heaven's will! My wife left, and now my son also wants to leave. Since the heavens want this, I can't do anything about it. However, if he wants to leave, he will have to wait until my son fully comprehended the Longpeng inheritance." Jinlei Longpeng said sadly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Dong dong dong. Yi Qinghan's nervous heart finally relaxed. He did not think that the little holy dragon was really Jinlei Longpeng's son. "Hi Sage Longpeng, don't worry. I will definitely take good care of the little holy dragon," Yi Qinghan said solemnly. Jinlei Longpeng stared at Yi Qinghan indifferently and did not speak for a long time. Some words did not need to be said, because he knew that Yi Qinghan was a crazy person. At the last moment, he would definitely protect the little holy dragon and his family. Otherwise, he would rather perish together with the enemy and choose to self-destruct. If an existence like Yi Qinghan self-destructed, the entire Longpeng continent would be destroyed and sunk into the sea. If you need an Earth-type sacred beast, choose from the Earth spirit race. As long as you can protect my son and don't let him follow in his mother's footsteps, I can bear any price. Jinlei Longpeng snorted. "Hi Sage, don't worry. As long as I have 5 sacred beasts to balance the golden body of utmost sage, the great sage realm is just around the corner. Once I step into the great sage realm, even evil souls in the outside world might not be able to withstand my attacks," Yi Qinghan said firmly. Jinlei Longpeng stared at Yi Qinghan and warned, "If my son is like his mother again, even if you die, I will destroy your corpse another 3,000 times. I will let you die without a burial ground. Yi Qinghan responded with a smile. He was not angry. After all, the little holy dragon was his son. It was normal for him to be worried. Jin Lei Longpeng then looked at the little holy dragon and said angrily, "Why aren't you comprehending the Longpeng inheritance? Do you want to wait for death?" The little holy dragon was so scared that its face turned pale. It quickly fled back to the Longpeng palace. Jin Lei Longpeng shook his head and sighed. Then he said in a muffled voice, "Follow me." Yi Qinghan followed Jin Lei Longpeng and quickly headed to the Earth Spirit Race's territory. There were many Earth Spirit Race. The Earth elements here were also abnormally rich. It was very suitable for the Earth Spirit Race to survive. However, there were not many saints. There were only 2 Earth spirits who had reached the saint realm. One was a middle-aged Earth spirit, and the other was an old man who was as old as rotten wood. Yi Qinghan stared at the middle-aged Earth spirit saint. The Earth element on his body was exceptionally rich. His aura was restrained, and his vitality was boundless. He was about the same strength as the water element and Qing Lu. It was enough to maintain the balance of the 5 elements and keep his body in an immortal state. If the 5 elements were not destroyed, the golden body would not be broken. If the golden body was not broken, how could the 5 elemental inner cores in his body be destroyed? It was an endless cycle. As long as he gathered enough 5 elemental saint inner cores, he would be a killing machine. As long as the enemy could not kill him in an instant, he could exhaust the enemy to death. Earth Spirit Saint, I'll give you a mission. Enter this person's body and turn into an inner core to protect him. Until he reaches the Great Saint Realm, I'll exempt your Earth Spirit race from 80% of the offerings. Jin Lei Longpeng said in a deep voice. The middle-aged Earth Spirit was very small. At most, he was only as tall as Yi Qinghan's knee. He was very fat and dark. The Earth element aura surrounded his body. At this moment, even if he hid under the ground, Yi Qinghan would not be able to detect his aura at all. Saint Emperor, he's a human. Don't you hate humans the most? Earth Spirit Saint asked curiously. Cut the crap. Jin Lei Longpeng's temper was not good. He lowered his head and roared, "If you're willing, then I'm willing. If you're not willing, then I'm not willing. I don't have that much patience." Earth Spirit Saint frowned. His entire face sank, and it was impossible to see his appearance. His small eyes looked at Jin Lei Longpeng's angry face. He could only shake his head and say, "Saint Emperor, don't be angry. I didn't say I'm not willing. I'm just curious." Shut up. You chatterbox. If you dare to say another word, I'll throw you into the sea. Jin Lei Longpeng reprimanded him without holding back. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.